Chapter 789. These two guys ran out again. Hurry up and catch them. Li Laojian was the last to rush out, but he was holding a net gun in his hand. After the previous two incidents, this was specially equipped for him by the county government. After that, he pulled the trigger at Niu Erwa and Zhang Dazhuang respectively. After 2 gunshots, 2 specially made large nets covered Niu Erwa and Zhang Dazhuang. Seeing that the 2 people were trapped, Li Laojian and the others breathed a sigh of relief. But before they could go forward to tie them up, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dazhuang let out a roar. They grabbed the big net with their hands and gently pulled it. The 2 nets, which were originally extremely tough, were immediately torn apart like pieces of paper. Li Laojian was shocked. These 2 guys seemed to be more than twice as powerful as before. Niu Erwa seemed to have felt that the big net just now was made by Li Laojian. His eyes flashed with red light, and he suddenly pounced on him. "Help, Dr. Qin, hurry up and save me." Feeling the danger, the first person Li Laojian thought of was Qin Haodong. In the past 2 crises, it was Qin Haodong who subdued the raging monster, so he instinctively called for help from Qin Haodong. However, Qin Haodong had already been expelled from the expert group. No one would come to save him. Instead, 2 villagers who were on good terms with him rushed up and waved their wooden sticks at Niu Erwa. Niu Erwa waved his 2 big hands with black hair and gently grabbed both sides. The wooden stick, which was as thick as a bowl, was broken into 2 pieces like a hemp stick. Seeing that this guy was so fierce, the 2 villagers quickly turned around and ran away. Fortunately, Niu Erwa's eyes flashed with red light. He didn't seem to be interested in these people. He turned around and rushed to the tent where Dong Anna and the others were. Zhang Dazhuang, who was next to him, did the same. He quickly jumped to the tent because there was a bloody smell that made them go crazy. Ever since they went up the mountain, Dong Anna had been unhappy. The first time she made an appointment with Guo Tao, she attracted a leopard. The second time, Niu Erwa broke through the wall, causing them to give up halfway. Today, she had held back all her energy. She had to have a good time. Guo Tao and Zhao Meng went into battle together. The 3 of them were having a great time in the tent. They didn't care about the shouts of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dazhuang. After all, when the police put handcuffs and shackles on the 2 of them, they saw clearly that they were made of stainless steel. Even an elephant couldn't break free. But just when they were enjoying themselves, the tent was suddenly torn open from the outside, and then Niu Erwa's blood-red eyes were exposed in front of the 3 of them. "Not good, they're coming out again." A few of them shouted, jumped up from the ground and ran. Although Dong Anna was a woman, her reaction speed was extremely fast. She immediately rushed toward the entrance of the tent. In the past few times she had encountered danger, she had relied on her agile reaction to avoid danger, but this time her good luck had obviously run out. Just as she ran to the entrance of the tent, she bumped into Zhang Dazhuang, who had rushed in. "Ah! Qin Haodong, help!" At this critical moment, she also thought of Qin Haodong. In the past, when a crisis broke out, only Qin Haodong could subdue these 2 monsters. Unfortunately, she had brought this upon herself. Qin Haodong had been driven away by her in every possible way. Zhang Dazhuang was already close at hand. It was too late for her to turn back and escape. She saw a big hand covered with black hair penetrate her chest with a bang, and then she lost consciousness. Seeing that Dong Anna was dead, Guo Tao and Zhao Meng were scared out of their wits. They immediately rushed out from both sides of the tent. In contrast, Guo Tao's luck was a little worse. Niu Erwa scratched his back, leaving a bright red mark. Fortunately, Niu Erwa did not chase after him. Attracted by the smell of blood, he also rushed toward Dong Anna, who was lying in a pool of blood. Although the others saw the tragedy happen, no one dared to come forward to stop it. After all, these 2 guys were too fierce, and they couldn't subdue them at all. After biting Dong Anna's body for a while, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang jumped out of the tent and rushed into the forest. Seeing that the two guys had left, the people hiding in various corners crawled out of their hiding places. Li Laozhen, who was in a panic, immediately took out his mobile phone and urgently reported what had happened here to the county leaders, asking them to send armed police to arrest Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang, who had escaped. Zhuo Bufan, Zhao Meng and Guo Tao walked to the front of the tent. When they saw Dong Anna, who was badly mutilated, they couldn't help retching. At the same time, they were secretly glad that they hadn't been caught by the monster. But at this moment, Guo Tao's vision went black, and then he fell to the ground with a plop. The wound that Niu Erwa had scratched was infected. Zhuo Bufan hurriedly shouted to Zhao Meng, "Where's the medicine? Hurry up and get our super antiviral capsule." Zhao Meng answered and rushed into their tent. He took out a bottle of medicine and rushed out. This was the Sanbao blood cleansing pill that they had found a famous old Chinese medicine practitioner to make today, and then they poured it into this kind of capsule. They clearly saw the process of Qin Haodong saving Guo Tao. Zhao Meng opened Guo Tao's mouth and poured the capsule into his mouth. After that, everyone gathered around Guo Tao and waited for him to wake up. When Qin Haodong treated the villagers last time, the most seriously ill infected person recovered in half an hour at most. Because Sun Bowie had been infected for a short time, it only took him more than 10 minutes to recover. Because of this, they felt that Guo Tao would not need too much time. But 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, and Guo Tao still did not respond. Zhuo Bufan looked at Zhao Meng. "What's going on?" Zhao Meng he licked his lips and said, "Don't worry, there's no problem with our medicine. He will wake up in half an hour." However, as time passed, 40 minutes had passed, and Guo Tao still showed no signs of waking up. Zhuo Bufan grabbed Zhao Meng's collar and said with blood-red eyes, "Didn't you promise me that this is the prescription that Qin Haodong used? Why isn't this medicine working?" Everything they had done seemed to have achieved unprecedented success, but the final cornerstone was still the prescription in their hands. If they could continue to cure the zombie virus, nothing would happen, and everyone would be happy. Once they were helpless against the zombie virus, what awaited them would be eternal damnation. Zhao Meng said, "Director, I don't know what's going on either. This is indeed the prescription I got from Old Sun, and it was written by Qin Haodong himself. Then why didn't it work?" Zhao Meng thought for a moment and said, "It may be that Guo Tao's physique is special. After all, every medicine is not 100% effective on people. Maybe it's just ineffective on him." Zhuo Bufan thought for a moment and felt that what Zhao Meng said made sense. But now Guo Tao had fallen here. With his family background, if he could not cure him, the consequences would be extremely serious. At this moment, the cell phone in Li Laogan's hand rang. 2 minutes later, he hung up the phone with a heavy expression and said eagerly to Zhuo Bufan, "Mr. Zhuo, the county government just called. After Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang escaped from us, they went directly to Dawang village, which is not far away. There, they bit and scratched 18 villagers in succession, and then they were killed by the armed police who arrived. Now the 18 villagers have been infected with the zombie virus and are in a high fever coma. Please lead the expert team to treat them immediately." "Okay. Okay." Zhuo Bufan agreed hesitantly. He was no longer as high-spirited as he was in the interview program on TV. At this time, he did not know if this medicine would work on other people. If he could successfully treat the 18 injured villagers, even if he could not cure Guo Tao, it would be a special situation. But if he could not treat these 18 people, the consequences would be unimaginable. The situation was urgent. Li Laozhen directly called a few strong villagers to escort Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng to the nearby Dawang village overnight with flashlights. Fortunately, Dawang village was not too far from the township government, about 1 kilometer. 2 hours later, they walked into the village together. There were broken walls everywhere. It could be seen that Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang had caused a lot of damage here. After entering the village, Li Laojian took them to the village office of Dewang village. At this time, the place was completely under the control of the armed police. After explaining their identities, they walked in. On a large brick bed in the village office, 18 infected villagers were lying side by side. The village chief of Dewang village was a skinny old man in his 60s. When he saw Mr. Li, he immediately came up to him and said, "Village chief, this time our Dewang village is in trouble. Please ask the experts to save us injured villagers." Li Laojian said, "Old Wang, don't worry. The experts are here." After that, he turned to Zhuo Bufan and said, "Mr. Zhuo, hurry up and save them." He looked at Zhuo Bufan with cold and sarcastic eyes. As a frontline worker, he knew very well who had saved the previous infected people. But as a small village chief, his words carried little weight, and he could do nothing about the decision made by the higher-ups. Zhuo Bufan gritted his teeth and went to the big brick bed with Zhao Meng. They poured the super antivirus capsules they had brought into the 18 villagers one by one. After taking the medicine, all that was left was to wait. As time went by, the infected villagers did not respond at all. Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng's hearts gradually sank to the bottom. An hour later, the super antivirus capsules they had made did not have any effect. The infected villagers were still in a coma and feverish state. Li Laojian glared at Zhuo Bufan fiercely, and then went out with his mobile phone to report the truth to the higher-ups. He did not dare to hide such a big thing. At 4:00 in the morning, the whole capital was in the darkness before dawn, but the meeting room of the Ministry of Health was brightly lit. The higher-ups of the Ministry of Health were all gathered here for a meeting. Gao Haiming, the Minister of the Ministry of Health, was sitting in the middle. At this time, his face was extremely gloomy. He had thought that the zombie virus had been successfully solved this time, but he did not expect that as soon as he reported this matter to the whole of Wuxia, such a big thing would happen. It was several times more serious than before. The other senior members sitting around were all baffled. They didn't know why the minister had summoned them here for a meeting in the middle of the night. But one thing was certain. Something big must have happened. Xiao Weiman was sitting at the end of the meeting room. Although he did not know what had happened, he had a hunch that since Gao Haiming was so nervous, it must have something to do with the zombie virus in Wangshan village. Sure enough, after everyone arrived, Gao Haiming said with a gloomy expression, "Everyone, just now there was another major accident in Wangshan village in Yunjian province. Please see the facts from the Department of Sanity of Yunjian province for details." After that, he asked the secretary to turn on the projector and project a fax report on the big screen. Everyone looked in the direction of the projection. Chapter 790. There were not many words on the fax report, and the content was very concise. At about 4:40 a.m. today, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang, who were infected in Wangshan village, suddenly went berserk and broke the handcuffs and shackles, causing the expert on the scene, Dong Anna, to die on the spot. After that, the two of them rushed into the nearby Dewang village and injured many villagers. They have now been killed by the armed police who arrived. However, the 18 villagers who were bitten have all been infected with the zombie virus. After reading the fax report, everyone present took a deep breath. No wonder Gao Haiming called them for a meeting in the middle of the night. The situation was too serious. At first, only one Niu Erwa was infected, but it had already caused such a serious loss. If the 18 villagers couldn't get effective treatment and all turned into zombies, the consequences would be unimaginable. A single spark could start a prairie fire. If these viruses were not effectively controlled, it would endanger the entire Wuxia and even the entire human race. Seeing that everyone had finished reading the fax report, Gao Haiming said, "Everyone, as you can see, this emergency is very serious, and it has become a severe test for our healthcare system." Sitting next to Gao Haiming was Zhang Lianqi, the new first deputy minister of the Ministry of Health. He had just taken over Xiao Weiman's position yesterday. He said, "Minister Gao, this matter seems very serious, but it's actually very simple to deal with. The reason why such a serious situation occurred is because we do not have a deep understanding of the second stage of the disease, which led to the inadequate isolation facilities. That is why such a tragedy occurred. But it doesn't matter now. 2 patients in the second stage have been killed, and the remaining 18 infected people are in the early stage. As long as Zhuo Bufan's expert group can cure them all, the problem will be solved." The others around him nodded and felt that what Zhang Lianqi said made sense. As senior officials of the Ministry of Health, it was impossible for them not to have seen Zhuo Bufan's special interview. They knew that this well-known expert invited back by country had developed a super antivirus capsule, which had special effects on the initial state of the zombie virus. Unexpectedly, Gao Haiming still shook his head with a heavy expression. "I have something to report to you. Just now, Zhuo Bufan has treated the injured villagers. Unfortunately, the super antivirus capsule in his hand has lost its effect, and the treatment has no effect. This matter was rather unexpected to him, and also a heavy blow to him." "What? How could this be? Super effective medicine? Why did it fail? That's impossible. In yesterday's interview, he said that it was 100% effective against this zombie virus. Why did it suddenly stop working?" Everyone was extremely shocked. If Zhuo Bufan's medicine lost its effect, they would only have 3 days left. According to the process of Niu Erwa's illness in the past, all 18 patients would enter the second stage of madness in 3 days. At that time, it would be difficult to control. Zhang Lianqi said, "Minister Gao, how could this be? Didn't Zhuo Bufan and the others just cure all the infected villagers yesterday? Why did the medicine lose its effect so quickly? Could it be that the virus has mutated again?" The higher-ups next to him felt that Zhang Lianqi's speculation was reasonable. Viruses would always mutate, but such a big mutation in such a short period of time would bring extremely heavy pressure to future treatment and prevention. Gao Haiming said, "The specific reason is still unclear." As he was speaking, the secretary hurriedly walked in from outside. "Minister Gao, the Chinese Government Affairs Council just called. Let me see the video of the trending topic." Gao Haiming was stunned. At this time, the higher-ups of the Government Affairs Council called and asked him to watch a video. There must be an extraordinary meaning in it. He said to the secretary, "Since it's an order from the Government Affairs Council, play it on the big screen and let everyone have a look." "Okay." The secretary agreed and then skillfully operated on the projector. Soon, the picture appeared on the big screen. This video happened in the observation room of Wangshan village. It was the process of Zhuo Bufan, Zhao Meng and the others treating Zhang Dezhuang. The effect of the video was very good, and the sound was also very clear. It could be seen that the recording equipment was very advanced. After bragging for a while, Zhuo Bufan injected the pink liquid into Zhang Dezhuang's body. Soon, Zhang Dezhuang woke up from his deep sleep, but he was not cured. Instead, he went crazy. Then the video began to shake violently, and the people in the isolation room fled in all directions. Seeing this, Gao Haiming suddenly stood up from his seat, and then sat down dejectedly. Although he had signed and approved the previous documents, the contents were directly reported to him by Zhao Meng and Zhuo Bufan. At the same time, the materials from the Biological Research Institute and the Microbiology Research Center had also provided sufficient proof. But now it seemed that things were not like that. At least this patient named Zhang Dezhuang went crazy because of Zhuo Bufan's wrong treatment. Not only him, but everyone also had doubts in their hearts. Didn't they say that Zhang Dezhuang went crazy because of Qin Haodong's wrong treatment? Why was it completely different from the video in front of them? The picture on the big screen changed, and the second video appeared. In the picture, Qin Haodong fed the Sanbao blood-cleansing pill into the mouth of an infected patient, and then the video entered a fast-forward state. According to the time shown on the screen, after 25 minutes, the patient sat up from the bed and completely returned to normal. This is a little wrong. Didn't they say that Zhuo Bufan treated these infected people? Why is it this young doctor in front of us? I know this young man. He is Qin Haodong, the doctor whose medical qualification certificate has been revoked. It seems that the actual situation is different from what we reported. Seeing this, many people glanced at Gao Haiming in confusion. It was obvious that the previous decision of the Ministry of Health was wrong. Gao Haiming's face became more and more gloomy. He knew that he had been completely deceived by Zhao Meng and the others. The screen changed again, and the third video appeared. This was the part where Zhuo Bufan led Zhao Meng and the others to discuss how to distort the truth and frame Qin Haodong. After listening to the conversation of the three people, Gao Haiming slapped the table. His face turned green with anger. He didn't expect that his nephew didn't tell him the truth. The whole thing was inverted. It was Zhuo Bufan who caused Zhang Dezhuang to relapse, and it was Qin Haodong who really cured the zombie virus. Soon, the video was finished. Although it was only 7 or 8 minutes, the truth of the whole incident was clearly expressed. After watching it, no one said anything and looked at Gao Haiming together. Gao Haiming sighed. At this moment, he seemed to have aged dozens of years. He had always worked hard for the health cause, was honest and self-disciplined, and had a strong sense of justice. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked Zhao Meng not to tell others that he was his uncle. He didn't want his nephew to enjoy some privileges because of his relationship with him. Because of this, when he heard those facts made up by Zhao Meng, he was so angry that he almost exploded, so he revoked all the honorary titles of Qin Haodong in his medical qualification certificate. In his opinion, such a person was not worthy of being a doctor at all, but he didn't expect that all this was a scam, made up by his good nephew. For a moment, the whole meeting room fell silent. After a long time, Gao Haiming sighed again and said to Xiao Weiman, "Old Xiao, I was wrong this time. I thought you were nepotism, but I didn't expect that I was deceived." Xiao Weiman said, "Minister Gao, the other things are trivial. Now the most important thing is to invite Dr. Qin back to cure the infected villagers in Wangshan village." "You're right. Since I made a mistake, I should face it." After saying that, Gao Haiming said to the secretary beside him, "I'll say it. Write it down and do it immediately. First, publish my personal letter of apology to Dr. Qin on the internet and other media. I made such a big mistake because I was too gullible." After he said this, Xiao Weiman and the others all admired him. It was easy to say that he would correct his mistakes, but not many people could really do it. Gao Haiming continued, "Second, issue a notice in the name of the Ministry of Health to correct the previous mistakes. We have decided to restore the title of National Master of Chinese Medicine and his medical qualification certificate. Third, revoke all the honorary titles given to Zhuo Bufan and take back all the bonuses. At the same time, reward Dr. Qin for his previous excellent performance. In addition to the 1 million yuan bonus given by the Ministry of Health, I will personally take out another 100,000 yuan as a subsidy." After saying this, he turned to Xiao Weiman and said, "Minister Xiao, I made a wrong decision before. You are the most suitable person to be in charge of medical treatment. From now on, you can take office again." Xiao Weiman said, "Don't worry, Minister Gao. I will definitely do this job well. I still need you to do more work for Dr. Qin. No matter what, you must let him help Wangshan village get through this." Xiao Weiman said, "Dr. Qin is broad-minded. He is a rare good doctor who works for the country and the people. I believe he will not mind." Gao Haiming sighed and said, "I misjudged him and misunderstood such a good doctor. Now I will go to the Government Affairs Council and confess my mistake to the higher-ups. I will wait for the punishment." Xiao Weiman said, "Minister Gao, everyone makes mistakes. Besides, you were deceived." This reminded Gao Haiming. He said to the secretary behind him, Zhuo Bufan, Zhao Meng, Guo Tao, and Dong Anna made up the truth and framed Dr. Qin Haodong. Now it has caused serious consequences. Dong Anna is dead, but the other three will be handed over to the Public Security Department. They must be severely punished and will not be tolerated. I see, Minister. The secretary then said, Minister, what about these videos on the internet? Should we contact the publicity department to get rid of them? Gao Haiming shook his head and said, No, these are the truth. We should let the people of Wuxia know. This is respect for the truth and also for Dr. Qin. He then said to Xiao Weiman, Minister Xiao, please take care of Wangshan village. I will go to the Government Affairs Council to admit my mistake now. An hour later, Gao Haiming's personal letter of apology and the public statement of the Ministry of Health of Wuxia appeared on the internet, and the truth was revealed. After these events, everyone knew that it was Qin Haodong who had cured the special infectious diseases in Yunnan province. At the same time, the names of traditional Chinese medicine and medical sage were once again famous in Wuxia. In Europe and the United States, the results of her interview were also made public, so that people all over the world could see the magic of traditional Chinese medicine. After finding that their super antivirus capsule was ineffective, Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng had been living in panic until the police put cold handcuffs on their wrists. It could be said that they could not shirk the responsibility of Niu Erwa's death, Zhang Dazhuang's death, and Dong Anna's death, especially the 18 infected people who were still in a coma, were all caused by them. According to the crimes they had committed and the consequences, it was estimated that they would spend the rest of their lives in prison. Chapter 791. The next morning, Qin Haodong took Su Hui back to Wuxia from Myanmar and set foot on the path to Wangshan village again. They had just walked halfway when they saw the villagers in front of them beating gongs and drums to welcome them. After the incident in Dawang village, the whole Wangshan village lived in fear. They were afraid that one day zombies would rush into their village and turn them into such monsters. Now they finally heard that the medical sage, who could cure this strange disease, had returned to Wangshan village. Everyone was very happy. They beat gongs and drums to welcome Qin Haodong and Su Hui into the village like heroes. The 18 infected patients of Dawang village were all transported here. Due to the limited room, only 3 people could be placed in an isolation room. Qin Haodong felt the pulses of these people one by one. Their conditions had not changed. He took out the Sanbao blood-cleansing pill and gave it to each of them. Half an hour later, these people woke up one by one. After professional blood tests, they were confirmed to be completely normal. Run, zombies are coming. The moment Guo Tao opened his eyes, his memory was still in fear. He jumped up and was about to run, but he found himself in the isolation room. Qin Haodong was standing in front of him, and there were 2 heavily armed policemen at the door. He looked around and didn't see Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng. He couldn't help feeling a little flustered and asked, "What the hell is going on?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "What you, Zhuo Bufan, Zhao Meng, and the others have done has been announced to the world. Now they are both waiting to reunite with you in prison. Hurry up and go with the police." At this time, the 2 policemen also came over. They took out the handcuffs around their waists and directly put Guo Tao's hands together. "No, you can't arrest me," Guo Tao shouted crazily. He was here to gain experience, not to go to jail. But no matter how he shouted, it was useless. Although his family was a little snobbish, it was all within the scope of the Capital Biological Research Institute. Outside the institute, it was much worse. Moreover, this was Yunnan province, which was beyond their reach. Moreover, this case was personally supervised by Gao Haiming, the Minister of Health. After knowing the truth, he directly sent Zhao Meng and Zhuo Bufan to prison. Now there was Guo Tao. If nothing unexpected happened, these 3 people would spend the rest of their lives in prison. All the patients infected with the zombie virus were completely cured. After so many days, the whole Wangshan village had completely returned to peace. When Qin Haodong walked out of the ward, Li Laojian and the villagers present kowtowed to Qin Haodong to express their gratitude. As the representative of the Department of Sanity, Wang Zhonglin said to Qin Haodong, "Dr. Qin, the villagers of Wangshan village thank you, and so do the people of Yundian province." Qin Haodong said, "Get up, everyone. I'm a doctor. It's my duty to save people." Wang Zhonglin said, "Dr. Qin, please come with me. The conditions here are too poor. Let's go back and celebrate for you." Qin Haodong said, "Director Wang, it's not over yet. It's too early to celebrate." Wang Zhonglin said in surprise, "Dr. Qin, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang are dead, and all the other patients infected with the virus have been cured. What else is there to deal with?" Qin Haodong said seriously, "Niu Erwa is dead, but the bat that bit him is still alive. If we don't get rid of the source of infection, it may bite other villagers one day, and then it will lead to more serious consequences." There was one thing he didn't say. The virus incident was a conspiracy. If the person behind the scenes was not caught, there would be no peace in Huaxiao. Wang Zhonglin said, "What Dr. Qin said makes sense, but bats generally live in the deep mountains and forests. It's impossible to guard against them, let alone get rid of them." Qin Haodong said, "Director Wang, don't worry about this. I have my own way to deal with it. It won't be too late for us to celebrate after the source of infection is eradicated. Dr. Qin, you are really far-sighted and noble. I'll wait for your good news." After that, Wang Zhonglin took his people back to the Department of Sanity to report. Qin Haodong and Su Hui stayed in Wangshan village. Hearing that Qin Haodong stayed here to get rid of the source of infection of the virus, Li Laojian said, "Dr. Qin, if there's anything we need from the villagers of Wangshan village, just tell us. If you want money, we'll help you." Qin Haodong said, "We don't need anything else. We just need your tent for a few more days." Li Laojian said, "Dr. Qin, how can we let you live in a tent? You and Dr. Su can live in my house. It's not far from here, about 2 or 3 miles away." Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "Mr. Li, thank you, but we'd better live here." He didn't know where his opponent was hiding, so he didn't want to bring unnecessary trouble to these simple villagers. After Li Laojian repeatedly invited them, he saw that Qin Haodong really didn't want to live in his house, so he could only give up. Seeing that it was lunchtime, the villagers all moved to the government office of Wangshan village to express their gratitude to Qin Haodong and Su Hui. During lunch, Qin Haodong said to Li Laojian, "Mr. Li, where did Niu Erwa get injured?" Li Laojian said, "It's on Savage Mountain behind Oxhorn village. He originally went up the mountain to hunt, but as soon as he returned to the village entrance, he fainted there. The villagers carried him home, and then he began to have fever and convulsions and other symptoms of infection." Just where did he go to Savage Mountain? Does everyone know that? Li Laojian said, "I don't know. After he came back, he had a high fever and was in a coma. He didn't say a word. After he woke up, he went crazy. No one knows where he went." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, "Does anyone know where there are the most bats on Savage Mountain?" Li Laojian said, "I know. There is a black dragon cave behind Savage Mountain. There are the most bats in the black dragon cave. No one can count how many there are. In short, when those animals fly out, they cover the sky and the sun. It's very scary." When he mentioned the bats in the black dragon cave, he said worriedly, "Dr. Qin, I think we'd better forget it. The black dragon cave is too dangerous. There are thousands of bats. I'm afraid you can't handle it alone." Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry, I have a way to deal with these things." Li Laojian was still a little worried. "Dr. Qin, how about I choose a few people to go into the mountain with you?" "No, I can do it alone. It'll be troublesome if there are too many people." Qin Haodong had the protective aura qi. Not to mention the bats, even poisonous snakes and fierce beasts could not hurt him at all. If there were too many people, they would be a burden. Well, Dr. Qin, I'll choose a few strong hunters to wait for you here. If there's anything, send me a message and we'll go to rescue them immediately. Qin Haodong nodded. Although he definitely couldn't use them, he didn't want to waste Li Laogan's kindness. The people in the mountains were simple and hospitable. They drank from noon to sunset. In order to express their gratitude, these villagers toasted Qin Haodong one after another. If it weren't for his amazing alcohol tolerance, he would have been drunk long ago, let alone going into the mountain. In the evening, he left Su Hui in the tent and then left the government of Wangshan village alone. He found a place where no one was around, then he directly stepped on the flying sword and flew to Savage Mountain. Savage Mountain was very large. It was basically a small mountain range. He had to fly for half an hour on his flying sword before he circled the entire mountain. After exploring for a week, he came to the Black Dragon Cave according to the direction Li Laogen had told him. The Black Dragon Cave was very big. It was 10 meters high and 7 or 8 meters wide. It was bottomless. After walking around, the cave was empty. There was a thick layer of bat droppings on the ground. It seemed that there were indeed a lot of bats here, but they had gone out to look for food at night and had not come back yet. He couldn't wait here, so he began to wander in the mountain again. His spirit detected the bats that appeared from time to time and picked some precious herbs. He was now very familiar with the zombie virus. When he scanned the bats with his spirit, he would immediately find out which one carried the virus. Unfortunately, he had seen thousands of bats, but none of them carried the virus. In the small village in Myanmar, Cassiano appeared in front of Dr. Jin's like a ghost. "Doctor, that boy surnamed Qin is back. It only took him half an hour to cure all the infected villagers." Dr. Jin's was slightly surprised. So many people were cured in just half an hour. How did he do it? Cassiano said, he invented a kind of traditional Chinese medicine called the Sanbao blood cleansing pill. After taking this medicine, all the infected people in the first stage can be cured within half an hour. Dr. Jins narrowed his eyes and said, "It took me 10 years to cultivate the zombie virus. After thousands of experiments in the laboratory, I couldn't kill it. I thought there was no cure in the world. It's really unexpected that a Chinese medicine practitioner could kill my virus." After a pause, he asked again, "Did Qin Haodong leave?" Cassiano said again, "He didn't leave. This guy seems to have found something." He continued to stay in Wangshan village and said that he would leave after finding the source of the infection. Dr. Jins said with a gloomy face, "This guy surnamed Qin is really annoying. No wonder the higher-ups regard him as a big problem." Cassiano said, "Doctor, do you want me to kill him?" "You." Dr. Jins shook his head and said, "A small team sent by the organization to the Hmong village in western Hunan was killed by Qin Haodong alone. Do you think you can defeat him?" Cassiano's expression froze and he said, "Then what should we do? Are we just going to watch the plan fail?" Dr. Jin said, "This virus experiment is just a small operation arranged by the organization. It's not a big deal at all. It doesn't matter whether we fail or not. But if we can kill Qin Haodong, it will be a great contribution." Cassiano said, "But, doctor, didn't you just say that this guy is very powerful?" Dr. Jins smiled grimly, pointed to his head and said, "Whether a person is powerful or not depends on his brain. If he only has force but no brain, he is doomed to fail in the end." Cassiano said, "Doctor, what should we do?" Dr. Jin said, "Just do as I say." On the small square in front of the gate of Wangshan village, after the experts of the expert group left, it seemed a little empty and deserted. Only Su Hui lived in the huge tent. It was late at night and the bright moon was hanging high in the sky. Qin Haodong hadn't come back yet. Su Hui felt bored alone, so she lay on the bed and was ready to sleep. At this moment, a figure flashed into the tent like a ghost. Su Hui was shocked to see this person. Just as she was about to open her mouth to call out, the man floated over like the wind. He raised his hand and chopped her carotid artery. Su Hui immediately fainted on the bed. The man chuckled and carried Su Hui out of the tent. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the night. The next 3 chapters are about the readers who sent red envelopes to other websites. Yachibana Meatball. Chapter 792. Savage Mountain. Because of the trees, the night looked darker here than outside. Suddenly, a melodious music rang out in the trees, startling the birds nearby to spread their wings and fly into the night sky. Qin Haodong took out his cell phone and saw a series of strange numbers on it. He pressed the answer button and a stiff voice in Wuxia came from the other side. "Mr. Qin, you're really dedicated. You're still working in the mountain so late?" Qin Haodong asked, "Who are you?" "My name is Dr. Jin's." "What do you mean by calling me?" Jin said, "Here's the thing. I developed the zombie virus. They're like my children. I don't want to see you hurt them. You made this crazy virus to harm the people of Wuxia. Not only will I destroy these viruses, but I will also hurt you." Jin said, "Mr. Qin, I don't think it's a good idea. I forgot to tell you that your beautiful wife is in our hands. If you insist on doing this, I'm afraid she'll be the first to be hurt. I've never seen such a beautiful Wuxia woman. I really can't bear to hurt her, so I hope you can come here as soon as possible and let's have a good talk." "What? You kidnapped Su Hui?" Qin Haodong's voice was extremely cold in the darkness. On the other side of the phone, Jin seemed to be very satisfied with Qin Haodong's reaction. He said, "Mr. Qin, we just invited Miss Su to be our guest. If we can have a good talk, I'll let you take her back." Qin Haodong said, "Tell me where you are." Jin said, "There's a moon forest in Myanmar from Savage Mountain. I'll wait for you here." "Mr. Jins, I hope you can be faster. Although I have a good temper, my men are not. They're all rough and ungentlemanly. I'm afraid they won't be able to control themselves if they see Miss Su for a long time." Qin Haodong said fiercely, "If you dare to touch Su Hui, I'll send you to the 18th level of hell." After saying that, Qin Haodong hung up the phone and quickly disappeared into the night. The moon forest was what the locals called it because there was a very regular, round, and moon-shaped clearing in the middle of the forest, hence the name. At this time, Su Hui was tied to a big tree at the edge of the forest, looking very anxious. Next to her stood Cassiano and 4 men in black. Jins looked at Su Hui and said, "Beautiful lady, don't look at me like that. As long as your man is sensible, he will bring you great benefits." Su Hui said, "Stop dreaming. Haodong won't conspire with you demons." Jin smiled and said, "Beautiful Wuxia woman, I don't think it's wise for you to do this. If you anger me, you'll suffer. Fortunately, I'm a gentleman and don't care about women." Su Hui seemed to realize that she was in a dangerous situation, so she closed her mouth and stopped talking. "That's more like it." Jins added, "But the night is long. It'll be boring if no one talks. Let's guess how long it will be before your man gets here." "There's no need to guess. I'm already here." A voice sounded behind Jins. It was Qin Haodong who had rushed over. Jins turned around, looked at Qin Haodong, and clapped his hands. The monotonous applause seemed very abrupt in the night. "Mr. Qin, you really value your wife very much. You came faster than we expected." Qin Haodong said, "Tell me, what will make you let Su Hui go?" With a faint smile on his face, Jin seemed to have the whole matter under control. "Well, Mr. Qin, we want to make a deal with you. As long as you join our organization, I will give you a large sum of money, which is more than you can spend in your lifetime. At the same time, we will also return Miss Su to you. Do you think this is a very good deal?" Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, "We're all smart people. Whether it's a good deal or not depends on how much you get, but also on how much you pay. I think before the deal, you should tell me what kind of organization you are and what I need to do after joining." Jin said, "It's very simple. We're backed by Angel Pharmaceutical. The treatment of joining our company is very good, and you don't need to do anything. All you need to do is close Tangmen Pharmaceutical Company and do nothing in the future. You only need to travel around the world with your beautiful wives and receive a large sum of money every day. What do you think? Isn't it a good deal?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "I'm sorry, Mr. Jins. I have a problem. I can't stay idle, so I always have to do something." Jin said, "Mr. Qin, you can do something if you want. You'll get more rewards if you help Angel Pharmaceutical. Help you to harm the people of Wuxia? Do you think I'm a beast like you?" Although Qin Haodong had been speaking very politely, Jin still felt the firmness in his tone. The smile on his face quickly disappeared and he said with a gloomy expression, "Mr. Qin, do you mean there's no room for negotiation?" "Of course there's no room for negotiation. There's a famous saying in Wuxia that people with different principles can't make plans together. Maybe you don't quite understand it, so I'll put it simply. I'm a human being, and you're beasts, so there's no possibility of cooperation between us." Jin said coldly, "Mr. Qin, I don't think it's smart of you to do this. Have you ever thought that Miss Su is still in our hands? I really can't bear to hurt such a beautiful woman. I think it's you who are not smart. How dare you kidnap my woman?" Qin Haodong did not show any impatience or worry. He said leisurely, "Angel Pharmaceutical has collected a lot of information about me. Didn't you find that all my women are ruthless? It's absolutely stupid to kidnap them." Hearing this, Jin's heart suddenly skipped a beat. As an old rival, they knew Qin Haodong's information very well. His women were indeed ruthless. The lowest cultivation was at the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm, and many had even reached the early stage of the Saint Realm. The reason why they kidnapped Su Hui was that they had done a very detailed investigation before. Su Hui was just an ordinary woman without any cultivation. She had entered the mountain on Qin Haodong's back. Thinking of this, he felt much more confident and said, "Qin Haodong, are you trying to scare me? In your Wuxia words, I'm not scared. I'm not interested in scaring you." Qin Haodong sneered and said, "To be honest, you've given me a headache this time. Even if I find the bat carrying the virus, Wuxia will not be safe with you, the producer. If I want to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, the best way is to trick you out. So I said all this is to make you show up, idiot. Otherwise, do you think I would leave Su Hui behind and run to the mountain alone?" Jin's looked calm on the surface, but his heart was already in turmoil. Today was a trap he had carefully set up. The purpose was to trick Qin Haodong here. It would be best if he could persuade him to surrender. If not, he would kill him directly. But he had never expected that he, as a hunter, would fall into the other party's trap. But he still had great doubts about whether what Qin Haodong said was true or not. He turned to Cassiano and said, "In this case, you can send Miss Su Hui to hell." "Okay, doctor." Cassiano agreed. A cold light flashed in his hand, and an extremely sharp dagger was stabbed at Su Hui's chest. But as soon as he stabbed with the dagger, he heard a bang and the rope tied around Su Hui's body was instantly torn apart. A powerful momentum suddenly broke out with Su Hui as the center. Cassiano was hit by the wave of air and took 7 or 8 steps back in succession. Before he could stand still, a fair hand had already grabbed his neck. Then he heard a crack, which was the last sound he heard in this world. Then he fell to the ground with a bang. The 4 men in black retreated 7 or 8 steps in succession and reached for their guns in their arms. Su Hui just waved her sleeves gently, and the 4 men flew backward like kites with broken strings. They began to vomit mouthfuls of blood in the air, and when they landed on the ground, they were already dead. Qin Haodong looked at Dr. Jins and smiled. Dr. Jins, do you believe me now? This was indeed a trap he had set for Dr. Jins. When he was in Myanmar, he had already used the double cultivation initiation method to improve Su Hui's cultivation. But in order to find out the person behind the scenes, he asked Su Hui to pretend to be weak. In the end, Dr. Jins did fall into the trap. Dr. Jins adjusted the glasses on the bridge of his nose. Qin Haodong, you are indeed smarter than I thought. After Su Hui killed those men, she came to Qin Haodong's side. Qin Haodong put his arm around her waist and said to Dr. Jins, Dr. Jins, tell me everything you know, and I can consider sparing your life. Dr. Jins smiled and said, Qin Haodong, do you think you will win? It's too early for you to be happy. The trap I set will not be so simple. After that, he clapped his hands. For black shadows rushed out of the woods and instantly surrounded Qin Haodong and Su Hui. These people were extremely fast, and their skills were not inferior to Su Hui's at all. Qin Haodong glanced at the four men in black. There was no aura of genuine qi flowing in their bodies, but they gave people a strong sense of oppression. This was not the first time he had encountered such a situation, so he was not surprised. He said to Dr. Jins lightly, I didn't expect that the technology of the warrior's garment has been improved to such a high level. It's really rare that it can make the user's cultivation comparable to the 9th level of the supreme power realm. Dr. Jins said proudly, of course, this is the power of science and technology. I'm afraid that you so-called warriors can't reach this level in a lifetime, but we only need a piece of clothing and only a few minutes to create a peerless master. I don't think so. Qin Haodong said, to achieve such a good effect, I guess you must have invested a lot of money on these clothes and paid a great price. You're really smart. Dr. Jins said, the value of each of the warrior's garment on the four of them is comparable to that of an aircraft carrier. Tut, 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 Qin Haodong clicked his tongue and sighed, it's a pity that they spent so much money on such expensive clothes, but they're just disposable items. Dr. Jins's expression changed. He did not expect that Qin Haodong would see the weakness of these clothes at once. These clothes were indeed expensive and could only be used once, so their company had only produced 4 pieces so far. This time, they had brought all of them to Wuxia. Soon, he calmed down and said, so what? We can kill the medical sage of Wuxia, even if we sacrifice a few pieces of clothing. And let me tell you, our angel company is short of everything except money. Chapter 793. Qin Haodong continued, it seems that you've sacrificed more than just the clothes. Although these people have undergone special training, their physical strength is far less than that of a 9th-level Supreme Power Master. They can't withstand the power of the warrior's knitted garment at all, so they're also disposable. He was not lying, but it was obvious that these people in the warrior's knitted garment did not know this. There was a flash of fear in their eyes. Dr. Jins immediately saw through Qin Haodong's intention and shouted, don't listen to his nonsense. He's disturbing your minds. Although he saw through Qin Haodong's intention, it was too late. Although these people in the warrior's knitted garment had the power of a 9th-level Supreme Power Master, they could not compare with a real 9th-level Supreme Power Master in terms of combat experience or psychological quality. They did not know that life and death could be decided in a battle between masters. Just at the moment when they were lost in thought, the Xian Yuan sword in Qin Haodong's hand flashed a dazzling golden light in the night sky. It only took him one move to pierce the throats of the 4 people. The angel company was too powerful. It was very likely that the alien demon was hiding behind them, so Qin Haodong did not want to reveal his true strength. In this case, if he wanted to end the battle quickly, the strategy of attacking the enemy's mind was undoubtedly the best way. Obviously, he had achieved great success. Although each of the warriors' knitted garment worn by these people was worth as much as an aircraft carrier, they were killed in one go before they could play any role. Putting away the Xian Yuan sword, Qin Haodong looked at Dr. Jin's and said, there are some things that technology can't replace. The masters you created with these clothes only have the power of a 9th-level Supreme Power Master, but they don't have the strength of a 9th-level Supreme Power Master. Bastard! Dr. Jin's was so angry that he gritted his teeth. These people had been carefully cultivated by the organization and they had spent a lot of money on them. Now that they had been destroyed in one go, he would inevitably be punished by his superiors when he went back. Qin Haodong, you and I are irreconcilable. Dr. Jin's, do you still have the confidence to say that now? Qin Haodong was not in a hurry to make a move. He wanted to see what other trump cards the opponent had not played. Qin, let's see how long you can be proud. Dr. Jin's shouted to the forest behind him, Master Rossi, it's time for you to show up. After he shouted, 2 tall figures walked out of the forest step by step. Seeing these 2 people, Qin Haodong and Su Hui were both stunned. The 2 tall black shadows were the villagers of Oxhorn Village, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. However, the 2 of them were now completely lifeless and had become real zombies. There was another figure behind them. His entire body was wrapped in a black robe, making it impossible to see his face clearly. Qin Haodong cried in surprise, is this a necromancer? Dr. Jin said proudly, I have to say that you are quite knowledgeable. This is the necromancer Rossi. It's not too late for you to admit defeat now. Otherwise, you and your woman will become zombies. Qin Haodong said angrily, they're dead. How can you let their bodies die in peace? It doesn't matter if you're alive or dead, in my eyes, you're just a test subject. Dr. Jin said, Qin Haodong, as your opponent, I think it's necessary for me to tell you my research results. This zombie virus is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is when the infected person falls into a high fever coma, and the second stage is when the infected person wakes up and goes crazy. But this is not the end. The third stage is the most exciting. At this time, their bodies will expand rapidly, like a human-shaped bomb. As long as you break their bodies or gently touch them, they will explode with a bang. Don't underestimate them. Although the explosion won't cause any substantial harm to you, the zombie virus in their bodies will quickly spread within a radius of 100 miles. At that time, both the residents of Myanmar and Wuxia will be infected with this virus. Speaking of this, there was a flash of pride on his face. What do you think? My research results are very good, aren't they? In addition, I'll give you another piece of information. There are about 100,000 residents of Wuxia and Myanmar within a radius of 100 miles. If all these people are infected with the virus, I'm afraid you won't be able to cure them even if you're known as the medical sage. In 3 days, these people will enter the second stage. I'm excited just thinking about it. Hearing this, Qin Haodong said angrily, you're a lunatic. Are you going to destroy all human beings? Dr. Jins shook his head and said, no, you're wrong. My zombie virus uses gene-targeted technology. It won't destroy all human beings. It will only destroy you, the hateful yellow-skinned monkeys and those inferior black people. There are too many inferior races like you. There's no need for you to live in this world. This seemingly gentle Dr. Jins was a racist. A cold light flashed in Qin Haodong's eyes. If he hadn't wanted to collect some information about Angel Pharmaceutical, he would have cut this crazy Dr. Jins in half with his sword. As if reading his mind, Dr. Jin said, Qin Haodong, do you want to kill me? I'm telling you, don't act rashly. These 2 people have chips specially developed by me in their bodies. As long as my heart stops beating, they will explode immediately, so you can't kill me. You can't afford the consequences. After that, he smiled proudly. You're right. If that's the case, I really don't dare to kill you, but I can destroy you. After Qin Haodong said that, the Xian Yuan sword in his hand suddenly shot out. Before Dr. Jins felt any pain, both of his arms fell to the ground. Ah! A heart-wrenching scream resounded in the night sky, causing countless birds to fly into the air. With a loud shout, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang rushed at Qin Haodong together, waving their zombie-like big hands to grab his throat. Qin Haodong took Su Hui and dodged the attacks of these two people. After becoming zombies, although the agility of these two people had increased by dozens of times, they could barely reach the level of the first level of supreme power. It was impossible for them to hurt Qin Haodong. However, the difficulty was that he could only dodge and did not dare to attack Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. If what Dr. Jin said was true, after these two people exploded, he would become a sinner of Wuxia. While controlling the two zombies to attack Qin Haodong and Su Hui, Necromancer Rossi was still chanting an obscure incantation. Streams of black qi rose in the night sky and kept drifting toward Qin Haodong and Su Hui. In the place where the black qi gathered, the air seemed to become sticky and the resistance became greater and greater, causing Qin Haodong and Su Hui to dodge slower and slower. However, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang were not affected at all. On the contrary, with the help of the black qi, their speed became faster and their attack power became stronger and stronger. But even so, it couldn't make up for the gap between them and Qin Haodong. The battle lasted for a full hour. It was already dawn, but the two zombies still couldn't do anything to Qin Haodong. Similarly, Qin Haodong didn't dare to touch them. He had thought of killing Necromancer Rossi directly with his flying sword, but he was afraid that the two zombies would also explode after killing Rossi. So he didn't dare to do anything. Since his reincarnation, he had never fought such a stupid battle. He could crush his opponent with his strength, but he couldn't do anything. However, it was obvious that Dr. Jin's was worse than him. Although he had used a special method to stop the bleeding on his shoulder, the pain of losing his arm was inevitable. Seeing that it didn't work after fighting for so long, he shouted to the field, "Stop fighting." After hearing his order, Necromancer Rossi immediately controlled Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang to stop. Dr. Jins shouted to Qin Haodong, "Qin, I've run out of patience. You either surrender now, or I'll detonate these two zombies." At that time, hundreds of thousands of people in Wuxia will die and become this kind of zombies. You'll be the sinner of Wuxia. He was originally threatening Qin Haodong, but Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. "Do you mean that these two people are already dead?" Dr. Jin said, "Of course. 3 days after being infected by the zombie virus is the first stage. After 3 days, they enter the second stage. After 10 days, they will die and enter the third stage." He said this in order to intimidate Qin Haodong, so that he could force him to surrender and take revenge for himself. Unexpectedly, these words reminded Qin Haodong. He couldn't touch the bodies of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang now, but he could put the lifeless things into the storage ring. The storage ring belonged to a separate space. No matter what went in, it would be cut off from the real world. Both the Jin's chip and the Necromancer's magic would lose control of these two people. Thinking of this, he thought of something and saw that the bodies of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang disappeared in an instant. Ah! Seeing this scene, Dr. Jin's was shocked. He didn't understand why his last trump card had disappeared just like that. "Surnamed Qin, you must have used some kind of camouflage. Are you trying to lie to me?" Seeing that the two zombies were put into the storage ring, Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief and sneered, "You think too much. I don't have time to play with you." After the two zombies disappeared, Necromancer Rossi was shocked. But no matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't get in touch with Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. "There's no need to look for them. You'll meet them soon." Qin Haodong waved the Xian Yuan sword in his hand and directly cut Rossi in half. Naturally, he would not show any mercy to this kind of evil warlock who specialized in controlling the bodies and souls of the dead. He directly killed him with his sword. Seeing that Rossi was dead and he had lost his last trump card, Dr. Jin's eyes flashed with despair. At this moment, Qin Haodong came to his side in an instant and slapped him in the face. Dr. Jin's flew 7 or 8 meters away and spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. One of his teeth was black, which was obviously poisonous. Just now, Qin Haodong saw that this guy wanted to commit suicide, so he knocked out his poisonous teeth. Dr. Jin's, you can die if you want, but you have to tell me everything I want to know. Dr. Jin's gritted his teeth and said with a ferocious face, Qin Haodong, although I was defeated by you this time, you can't get any information from me. Really? If you want to fight against me, you have to have the ability. Qin Haodong didn't want to talk nonsense with this guy. He directly used mind manipulating and asked, tell me, is the zombie virus spread by bats? Dr. Jin's eyes flashed with confusion, and then he said obediently, yes, this virus can only survive in the bodies of bats, in addition to the human body. Where are those bats? How many of them are there? Dr. Jin said, there are 2 of these special bats, which I specially bred. Now they are in the Black Dragon Cave of Savage Mountain, mixed with those bats. Chapter 794. Qin Haodong asked again, what's the purpose of your angel group to create this virus? Dr. Jin said, I don't know the details. Anyway, we scientific researchers have received orders from our superiors to develop a virus that can kill humans on a large scale. The larger the number, the better. Whoever succeeds will get a lot of rewards from the organization. Qin Haodong frowned. It seemed that the alien demons must be behind the angel group. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given such a crazy order. Why does the zombie virus you developed only target the yellow and black people with genetic targeting technology? Does it have anything to do with the order of your organization? Dr. Jin said, no, it's my personal decision. I'm a racist. Since I want to kill people, I will naturally choose the yellow and black people first. How much of this virus do you have? Do you have any backups in the angel group? Dr. Jin said, no. I don't think there's any cure for this virus, so there's no need to keep any backups. Besides, this is my own research result. I want to get a lot of rewards after I succeed. Of course, I won't give it to anyone. Qin Haodong asked again, who's the president of the angel group? Is there anyone behind him? Dr. Jin said, I don't know. People like us who do scientific research are only responsible for our own projects. The superiors will give us some cooperation and help. For example, the necromancer was sent to me by the organization this time. But I've never seen or heard about the top leaders of the angel group. Have you joined any special organization, the kind that leaves tattoos on your body? Dr. Jin said, no, people like me pursue money and technology. I'm not interested in other religious organizations. Qin Haodong checked the 2 arms on the ground and his body. There were no traces of tattoos. Tell me, where is the headquarters of the angel group? The headquarters is in M country. As soon as Dr. Jin said this, his face suddenly changed, and then his whole head exploded into a cloud of blood mist. At this moment, Qin Haodong had already retreated 7 or 8 meters with Su Hui. Looking at the horrible scene in front of her, Su Hui asked in surprise, what's going on? Why did a normal person's head explode? Qin Haodong said with a gloomy face, I still underestimated those people. They even installed some kind of restriction in Dr. Jin's head. As long as he wants to say some hidden secrets, it will be triggered and self-detonated. Su Hui said with pity, what kind of organization is the angel group? How can you be so cruel? Qin Haodong said, if I'm not mistaken, the alien demon must be behind them, and these people are just puppets. Su Hui said, this kind of person is also crazy. He actually developed a terrible thing like the zombie virus for money. Qin Haodong said, now that Dr. Jin's is dead, there is no backup of his virus. What we have to do is to kill the 2 bats, and the crisis will be completely resolved. With that, He stepped onto the Xianyuan sword with Su Hui and flew towards the Black Dragon Cave on Savage Mountain. When they arrived at the entrance of the cave, they chose a suitable spot and sat down. It was already close to dawn, the night was gradually fading, and the east was getting brighter. As the sun rose, countless bats flew back. Generally speaking, bats rarely attacked people. When they saw Qin Haodong and Su Hui, two of them immediately rushed over and opened their mouths to bite their necks. "Damn beasts, I was just looking for you." After that, Qin Haodong's hand flashed with golden light, and the Xianyuan sword directly cut the two bats carrying the zombie virus in half. There were shiny chips under the wings of the two bats. They were the two bats that Dr. Jin's had cultivated. Qin Haodong took out the gasoline that he had prepared and poured it on the two bats. Then he lit a fire. It was safest to burn things that carried the virus. A few minutes later, the two bats had been completely burned to ashes. Qin Haodong dug another pit and buried the ashes. After the matter was settled, he did not return to Wangshan village, nor did he return to the Department of Sanity of Yindian province to receive the award. He was not interested in these things at all. He directly took Su Hui on the plane to the capital. After returning to the capital, he first called Xiao Weiman and briefly told him what had happened in Wangshan village. However, he only said that the virus had been solved and did not mention anything about the Angel Group. It was useless to tell the Ministry of Health about such a special event. Then he called Xianyuan Ligay again. This time, he mentioned the Angel Group. After giving a detailed introduction of the situation, he asked, "What kind of organization is this Angel Group? Where is their mastermind and headquarters?" Xianyuan Ligay said, "We have also paid attention to the Angel Group before, but they are extremely secretive. The president who often appears in public is called Kirsten. But we suspect that he's just a puppet. The headquarters of the Angel Group is just a facade. The real headquarters must be hidden in an unknown place." Qin Haodong said, "Ask your people to pay more attention to the Angel Group in the future, but don't alert them." After the matter was settled, his life returned to normal. Every day, he would help Su Hui run her clinic and go to the Capital University of Traditional Chinese Medicine to give a few classes from time to time. Time passed quickly. 3 days later, Qin Haodong had just had a class when the cell phone in his pocket suddenly rang. It was Donnie Randall, the head of the Deep Web. "Miss Randall, what can I do for you?" Donnie Randall said, "Qin, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" The two of them didn't get to know each other without fighting, so they were quite close now. Qin Haodong said, "Of course I want to hear the good news." Donnie Randall said with a smile, "The good news is that you are going to be famous soon." Qin Haodong said, "That's not good news. I was also very famous before." Donnie Randall said, "It's different from before. Although you are very famous now, the title of medical sage is limited to Wuxia and the medical world. Your fame will soon spread throughout the underground world." Qin Haodong said, "What's the bad news?" "The bad news is that you will face an unprecedented challenge, and you may lose your life." Qin Haodong knew that the girl was implying something, so he said, "Just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Since you want to know, I'll tell you." Donnie Randall said, "Have you heard of Zhang Wudi?" "Yes, he is a very great martial arts genius, but he is unruly, cruel and bloodthirsty. Later, he was driven out of Wuxia by Master Hao Yu, and 2 of his disciples were killed by me. When he was in Jiangnan, Qin Haodong had killed Li Long and Li Hu in succession. However, Zhang Wudi had not done anything for such a long time, so he almost forgot about it." Donnie Randall said, "Just now, Zhang Wudi issued a challenge to you through our deep web. He asked you to fight to the death on Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain in 3 days." Qin Haodong said, "Is that the good news and bad news you want to tell me?" Donnie Randall said with a smile, "Yes, since Zhang Wudi sent you a letter of challenge, your name is now well known in the underground world. You're indeed famous. The bad thing is that John Woody is too powerful, and no one is optimistic about you. If you dare to accept the challenge, you will probably die. Qin Haodong was not too surprised. He said lightly, "It seems that you want to persuade me to refuse this challenge." Donnie Randall said, "As the leader of the deep web, I shouldn't persuade you, but John Woody is too powerful. You have no chance of winning this challenge. From the perspective of a friend, I advise you not to accept it." Qin Haodong said, "How powerful is he? Tell me." Although he had heard some legends about John Woody and Master Hao Yu before, those were just legends, and they were definitely not as accurate as the news on the deep web. Donnie Randall said, "I just checked John Woody's information for you. He is indeed a rare martial arts genius in 100 years. In those days, he challenged the supreme power masters of various sects in Wuxia and killed countless people. In the end, he received the challenge from Master Hao Yu. The place of the challenge was Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain. In the end, Master Hao Yu won by a narrow margin and forced John Woody to make an oath that he would never set foot in Wuxia again." Qin Haodong said, "Since the legend is true, then John Woody violated his oath by issuing a challenge to me on Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain." Donnie Randall said, "In fact, John Woody's oath was that he was not allowed to step into Wuxia before he had the strength to defeat Master Hao Yu. Now he stepped into Kunlun Mountain again to challenge you, and at the same time, to declare war on Master Hao Yu. Whether you accept the challenge or not, I'm afraid that Master Hao Yu will also appear on Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain in 3 days. It will be another confrontation between the two martial arts geniuses. Master Hao Yu. Since he is going, I naturally can't miss it." Qin Haodong said, "Tell John Woody that I'll accept the challenge." Donnie Randall said anxiously, "Hey, you're too casual. You have to know that you're not Master Hao Yu. How can you fight with John Woody as a 9th-level Supreme Power Master?" Qin Haodong was amused. It seemed that he had successfully hidden his cultivation. Even the leader of the Deep Network had successfully deceived him. He thought that he was only a 9th-level Supreme Power Master. He asked, "What's John Woody's cultivation now?" Donnie Randall said, "The exact news we have is that John Woody reached the early stage of the Saint Realm 5 years ago. Half a year ago, he began to cultivate in seclusion to break through to the middle stage of the Saint Realm. He officially came out yesterday, but we don't know whether he succeeded or not. According to my guess, it's very likely that he succeeded. Otherwise, he wouldn't have set foot in Wuxia in such a high-profile manner." Speaking of this, she seemed to want to tell Qin Haodong more information. She continued, "John Woody is indeed very powerful. When he first arrived overseas, he single-handedly conquered the Qin gang, killed the previous gang leader, and became the highest first elder of the Qin gang. He has accepted a lot of disciples in the Qin gang. There are about 100 of them. The brothers of the Li family that you killed are not even qualified to be his disciples. Now the leader of the Qin gang is his eldest disciple, Tong Taisheng. He has already reached the 9th-level Supreme Power realm. Several other disciples have also reached the 9th-level Supreme Power realm. It can be said that there are many masters in the Qin gang now and they are very powerful. He is also the first person in Wuxia overseas. Although he hasn't fought for many years, he is still famous. That's why his challenge to you caused such a big sensation." Chapter 795. After listening to Donnie Randall's words, Qin Haodong was not nervous at all. Instead, he laughed. He did not care too much about John Woody's cultivation, which was only 1 level higher than his. If he was well prepared, it was not impossible for him to kill John Woody. Besides, he had Xianyuan Legay, who was also a master at the middle stage of the Saint Realm. As for the overseas Qin gang, those useless soldiers and crab generals are nothing. Any one of the masters of the Xianyuan Pavilion and his wives at the Saint Realm can wipe out the disciples of the Qin gang. He asked again, "I'm a little curious. Why did John Woody challenge me through the deep web? If I didn't know you or the deep web, would his letter of challenge fail? Donnie Randall said, of course not. Many masters challenge through our deep web because we have an intelligence system all over the world. We can accurately send the letter of challenge to our opponents and save them a lot of trouble. At the same time, after the news of the challenge is announced on the deep web, it will cause a great sensation, which will help to enhance the challenger's reputation. John Woody challenged you through our deep web. It must be a high-profile announcement of his return to Wuxia. Qin Haodong said with a smile, it seems that he doesn't regard me as an opponent at all, but as a stepping stone for his return. Qin, you are really excellent. You have reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm at such a young age, much earlier than John Woody. As long as you develop steadily for a few more years, it will not be difficult for you to surpass John Woody. So I advise you to bear with it for now and not accept the challenge for the time being. When your strength grows up, it will not be too late to challenge John Woody. Speaking of this, Donnie Randall's tone revealed a trace of anxiety that could not be concealed. Qin Haodong said with a smile, what will happen if I refuse the challenge? Donnie Randall said, generally speaking, the letter of challenge issued through the deep web will be the first one on the home page. If the challenger refuses, he will become the laughing stock of the whole underground world. But you don't need to mind this, because you are not of the same generation as John Woody. You are a generation younger than him, so it doesn't matter if you refuse. Qin Haodong said with a smile, I can't do that. I cherish my reputation very much. If I am spurned, how can I find a girlfriend in the future? Donnie Randall said angrily, you pervert, don't you think there are too few women? Qin Haodong smiled and said, well, I won't joke with you. As a man, I won't refuse John Woody's challenge. Tell him that I will go to Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain in 3 days. Donnie Randall sighed and said, well, since you insist, I will go to Tianzhu Peak in 3 days. Donnie Randall said, well, since you insist, Qin, Randall. Shortly after he entered the house, the old butler, Uncle Wang, came over and said, young master, there is a man named Cha Bumpkin at the door. He said he wants to see you. Cha Bumpkin from Koryo? A smile appeared at the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. It seemed that these Koreans got the news quite fast. As soon as he accepted the challenge, they came to add insult to injury. Uncle Wang seemed to see that Qin Haodong didn't like this person, so he said, do you want me to send someone to drive him away? No need. Ask him to meet me in the living room. Uncle Wang agreed and turned to go out. Qin Haodong stood up and was about to walk to the living room. Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, I heard that all the men in Koryo are handsome. I'll go with you. Qin Haodong did not care. They went to the living room together. Not long after, a middle-aged man in a suit with a proud face came in. His cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm. After entering the door, he glanced at Qin Haodong and Hu Shaoxian sitting on the sofa, as if he was very dissatisfied that they did not stand up to greet him. He snorted and said, are you Qin Haodong? Qin Haodong picked up a cup of tea on the table and took a sip. He looked up at him and said, I am. What can I do for you? The middle-aged man said arrogantly, let me tell you, my name is Cha Bumpkin. My teacher is Cha Teheng, the famous boxing saint of Koryo. After that, the arrogance on his face became even stronger. It seemed that Qin Haodong would be shocked if he revealed his and his teacher's names. But to his disappointment, Qin Haodong still slowly tasted the tea in the cup and asked, who you are doesn't mean anything to me. Just tell me why you are looking for me. A flash of anger flashed across Cha Bumpkin's face. This Wuxia man had heard his name, but he did not greet him or ask him to sit down. It was too rude. But thinking of his mission this time, he suppressed his anger and said, I heard that you took in a woman named Kim Ji-hyun some time ago. Qin Haodong said without hesitation, yes, she lives in my Tang sect now. Cha Bunkin said, she is from Koryo. She stole something from the boxing saint and then ran to Wuxia. You must return this woman and the things she stole to us. Qin Haodong sneered and looked at Cha Bunkin coldly. Are you ordering me? The smile on Hu Xiaoxian's face, who had been snuggling up to Qin Haodong, disappeared in an instant, and then a powerful momentum suddenly broke out. This momentum was so powerful that Cha Bunkin took 6 or 7 steps back, and even breathing became extremely difficult. Fortunately, Hu Xiaoxian's momentum disappeared as soon as she released it, and soon she returned to her charming smile. Cha Bunkin returned to normal, but the arrogance on his face had disappeared, and even the underwear on his back had been soaked in cold sweat. This woman was so powerful that her momentum was not inferior to his teacher, Cha Tehang. He was the first disciple of Cha Tehang, the boxing saint. In Koryo, he was second only to one person, and he had developed an extremely arrogant personality. Although Cha Tehang repeatedly told him to be careful when he arrived at the Tang sect, he did not take it seriously at all. He thought that with his cultivation, it was enough to destroy the entire martial arts world in the capital. After seeing Hu Xiaoxian's cultivation, he immediately restrained his arrogance and said, Mr. Qin, I didn't use the right words just now, but I still hope that you can return Kim Ji-hyun to us. A disdainful smile appeared at the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. In addition to robbing others' things, these people were also arrogant. It seemed that this guy in front of him was no exception. He said, you and I both know what's going on. Since Cha Tehang wants to rob others' things, he doesn't need to be a bitch. He even needs to hang a memorial. Cha Bunkin's expression suddenly changed. Qin Haodong, how dare you be disrespectful to the boxing saint? Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully and said, let me tell you, Kim Ji-hyun is my friend. Cha Tehang is nothing to me. Sooner or later, I will get even with him. Arrogant. Cha Bunkin said, Qin Haodong, now that Zhan Wudi has issued a letter of challenge to you, I'm afraid you won't live more than 3 days. How dare you talk big here? How long I can live has nothing to do with you. Get out of here. Cha Bunkin said, Qin, Master Fist Sage is very sincere. As long as you hand over Kim Ji-hyun and return that thing to us, Master Fist Sage can consider fighting against Invincible King for you. He also agrees to give you 1 billion yuan as a reward. Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. The fact that Cha Tehang was willing to pay such a high price showed that the map was extremely precious. However, it was simply a fool to say that he would fight against Zhan Wudi for him. With Cha Tehang's cultivation at the early stage of the Saint Realm, he was afraid that he would stay away from Zhan Wudi as far as possible. He sneered and said, do you think Cha Tehang has the ability to fight against Zhan Wudi for me? Cha Bunkin cried, of course, the boxing saint is invincible in the world. Qin Haodong said, in that case, ask Cha Tehang to kill Zhan Wudi. As long as he brings Zhan Wudi's head here, I will give him whatever he wants. Cha Bunkin said, Qin Haodong, don't be so ungrateful. Let me tell you, it's your honor to have the chance to fight against Zhan Wudi. If you anger Zhan Wudi, he will destroy your Tang sect. As soon as he finished speaking, Hu Xiaoxian moved and appeared in front of him like a phantom. She raised her hand and slapped Cha Tehang in the face. Why are you dawdling? Didn't you hear my man asking you to get out? This slap was very powerful. Although Cha Bunkin was a 9th-level Supreme Power Master, he was still like a child in front of Hu Xiaoxian. He had no ability to resist at all. He was directly knocked out of the living room and rolled more than 10 meters away. Half of his teeth were knocked out. Hu Xiaoxian was still angry. I hate people like you who like to brag when you don't have the ability. If I meet you again, I will beat all your teeth out. Just wait and see. Zhan Wudi won't spare you. Cha Bunkin's words were tough, but he did not dare to look at Hu Xiaoxian again. He ran out of the Tang sect. After going out, he got into a black car, took out a towel to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and then took out his mobile phone to make a call. "Teacher, I saw Qin Haodong." The person on the other side of the phone said, "How's it going? Is he willing to give Kim Ji-hyun to us?" Cha Bunkin said, "Teacher, Qin Haodong is too barbaric and arrogant. He doesn't take you seriously at all. Not only does he refuse to return Kim Ji-hyun, but he also speaks rudely. I argued with him, but he asked someone to knock out half of my teeth. Now he wanted to provoke all Cha Taihang's anger and immediately go to the Tang sect to avenge him." Sure enough, Cha Taihang shouted angrily, "Arrogant Wuxia man, I will make you regret it." Although he was angry, he was not an impulsive person. The reason why he did not directly go to the capital to take Kim Ji-hyun away was that he had fully understood the strength of the Tang sect and knew that Qin Haodong's women were unfathomable. Cha Bunkin said, "Teacher, what should we do?" Cha Taihang said, "Come back. I know what to do." 5 minutes later, another challenge letter appeared on the front page of the deep web. Cha Taihang, the boxing saint of Koryo, issued a challenge to Qin Haodong, the medical sage of Wuxia. This time, the whole underground world was in an uproar. Everyone did not know what the young man called the medical sage had done to make him be challenged by 2 saints in succession. "He's dead. I think this Wuxia man is dead." 2 saints challenged him one after another. "It's impossible for him to survive, I just checked Qin Haodong's information. Although he is also very great and has reached the 9th level of the supreme power realm at such a young age, he will not be a match for a saint in any case. It's a pity that such a young 9th level of the supreme power realm might become a saint in a few years, but now he is destined to be a sacrifice." 2 consecutive letters of challenge immediately caused the forum of the deep web to be in an uproar. Everyone was talking about the 2 saints challenging Qin Haodong. But at this moment, another challenge letter appeared on the front page of the deep web, and the target was still Qin Haodong, the medical sage. Chapter 796. Oh my God, it's Savage Beast God. This horrible guy also challenged Qin Haodong. Oh no, Qin Haodong is done for. If he is defeated by Zhan Wudi, the boxing saint, Qin Haodong may die in one piece. But if Savage Beast God challenges him, I'm afraid he won't even die in one piece. I guess this guy must run away as far as he can. He doesn't dare to accept the challenge. After all, he's obviously looking for death. Qin Haodong was slightly surprised to see that this guy called Savage Beast God also challenged him. He had never met this person before. Why did he challenge him? At this time, his cell phone rang. It was Donnie Randall again. After answering the phone, she said immediately, "Qin, I think you'd better hide. Although I admit that you're very strong and outstanding, no one can face the challenge of 3 saints at once. And even if you run away, it's not a shame. On the contrary, it's already your honor to be the opponent of 3 saints. Run away. Why should I run away?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Since these 3 guys want to die, I'll help them." Donnie Randall said anxiously, "Qin, I'm telling you, it's really not the time to show off. Sometimes it's also a kind of wisdom to give in." "Well, Miss Donnie Randall, I know what I'm doing. Take these 3 challenges for me. Let's set the time at noon 3 days later. At that time, I'll get rid of these 3 arrogant guys at the Tianzhu peak of Kunlun Mountain." Hearing Qin Haodong's bold words, Donnie Randall was speechless. Who was the one who didn't know what was going on? "Miss Randall, tell me what's going on with that guy called Savage Beast God. Why did he jump out to join in the fun?" Donnie Randall sighed. She knew that there was no turning back, so she could only give Qin Haodong as much information as possible. Savage Beast God is the overlord of the European underground world. His name is Khan. Although he doesn't practice Wuxia martial arts, some people speculate that his cultivation has reached the saint realm. His status in the underground world of Europe was no less than that of Zhan Wudi of the Qin gang. In addition, this man looked extremely ferocious, like a beast, so everyone gave him the nickname of Savage Beast God. You must be extra careful when you go up against this guy, because the word savage is not just for show. He has killed countless people over the years, but he has never left a complete corpse. Qin Haodong nodded and then asked, but I've never met him before. Why did this guy come out to join in the fun? Do you have nothing better to do in Europe? Donnie Randall said, of course not. The reason why he stood out to challenge you was that he was hired by Angel Pharmaceutical. The Angel Company reached an agreement with him. As long as Khan could tear you apart, they would give him 10 top-grade beauties and 1 billion euros as a reward. The savage beast deity is greedy and lustful. At the same time, he doesn't take you seriously, so he agreed to the other party's request. Only then did Qin Haodong realize that Angel Pharmaceutical had suffered a big loss in his hands again. Seeing that Zhang Wudi and Cha Teheng had challenged him, they took the opportunity to stir up trouble, hoping to kill him with the help of others. The two of them chatted for a while. Qin Haodong got a lot of information and hung up the phone. Then the whole underground world was in an uproar. Qin Haodong gave the same reply to the 3 challenges on the front page of the deep web, which was to accept the challenge. Accept the challenge. Or accept the challenge. Is this Wuxia boy crazy? He even dared to accept the challenge of Savage Beast God. Oh my God, he accepted the challenge of 3 saints at the same time and place. Even if he wants to commit suicide, he can't do it like this. I'm afraid even Master How You can't do it. He's really courting death. I think this guy is dead meat. While everyone was talking about it, martial artists from all over the world rushed to Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain at the same time. They all wanted to see the 3 saints fight at the same time. On the Tang sect's side, everything was calm, and there was no tension before the battle at all. Qin Haodong acted as if nothing had happened. He went to the Donghui Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine for treatment and went to the Capital Medical College to attend classes. It seemed that he had not made any preparations. On the side of the capital, the others could not be as calm as him. On the day of the battle, the 7 great families all rushed to Tianzhu Peak of Kunlun Mountain to watch the battle. In their words, they were cheering for Qin Haodong, but only they knew what they were thinking. At the same time, the casinos in the underground world opened their own bets for this challenge. Although Donnie Randall repeatedly dissuaded Qin Haodong, she finally bet on him after hesitating for a while. Kunlun Mountain was an incomparably huge mountain range with no end in sight. It contained thousands of peaks of various sizes. Among the many peaks, Tianzhu Peak was the most distinctive. It looked like a giant pillar piercing the sky, rising directly from the ground to the sky. At its top was an open space of nearly 1,000 square meters, which made people sigh at the magic of the Creator. Because of the characteristics of Tianzhu Peak, ordinary people could not climb it at all. Moreover, the battle between the saints was earth-shattering, so no one dared to stand on it to watch the battle. Otherwise, if they were affected and fell down from Tianzhu Peak, they would definitely die. There were dozens of peaks around Tianzhu Peak, large and small. The people who came to watch occupied these advantageous positions to watch the final battle. This time, the Qin family almost turned out in full strength. Led by Qin Zhan Ao, the family master, there were dozens of people. Standing at the foot of Tianzhu Peak, Qin Zhan Ao's mood was extremely complicated for his grandson, who was getting more and more popular. If he had known that Qin Haodong would be so outstanding, he would have kept him in the Qin family no matter what. Unfortunately, there was no if in the world and there was no medicine for regret. Among the many people watching, the most eye-catching was the Tang sect. In addition to Chu Xianyue, who stayed at home to take care of Tang Tang, Yan Feifei, Feng Wu, Hu Xiaoxian, the Nailan sisters and others were all there to cheer for their man. Any one of these women was a devastatingly beautiful existence. Now that they were gathered together, it was simply dazzling the eyes of countless men. Unfortunately, due to the dignity of the Tang sect, these people only dared to watch from afar and no one dared to approach. On another small peak next to the Tang sect, 3 people stood side by side. The one on the far left was more than 2 meters tall and his body was beyond people's imagination. His bulging arms were probably thicker than an ordinary person's waist. This guy's whole face was covered with black hair and he looked extremely fierce. He was the ruler of the underground world in Europe and also the savage beast god, Khan. Standing on the right was Cha Teheng, the boxing saint of Koryo. This man looked about 50 or 60 years old. He was not tall, but his whole body was full of the majesty of a saint. The most eye-catching person was Zhang Wudi, who was standing in the middle. This person used to be a legend in Wuxia. He was invincible and killed his enemies. Although he was defeated by Master Hao Yu in the end, he still won the respect of countless people. Nearly half of the people who came to watch the battle today came for him. They all wanted to see if he could return to Wuxia as a king. They were also looking forward to Master Hao Yu's appearance and the two of them would fight again. Today's weather was good. The sun was scorching in the sky. When noon was approaching, a figure suddenly stepped out and flew straight to the top of Tianzhu Mountain. In the face of the challenge of the 3 saints, it was impossible for Qin Haodong to hide his cultivation. Since he could no longer pretend to be weak, he had to show his dominance. Seeing his vigorous figure, the masters of the 7 great families in the capital nodded secretly. It seemed that their previous guess was right. As the head of the Tang sect, Qin Haodong had indeed reached the level of a saint. After standing on Tianzhu Peak, Qin Haodong put his hands behind his back and looked down at the many warriors under his feet. Zhang Wudi, Cha Teheng, Khan, which one of you will die first? This shout was so domineering that it surrounded the mountains and clearly reached everyone's ears. Khan cried, I'll go first. If you beat me to it, I'll lose my bonus and beauties. After that, his tall body rushed down from the mountain like a meteor. Unlike other saints, he cultivated an extremely rare external cultivation method. His body was extremely strong, but he couldn't control the chi of heaven and earth to fly. Even so, his speed was amazing. Along the way, he knocked down countless trees and rocks like a tank. After arriving at the foot of Tianzhu Peak, his 2 big hands were like excavators, easily inserted into the hard stone wall, and then quickly climbed up. Although he looked tall and heavy, his speed was 10 times faster than that of a monkey. In the blink of an eye, he stood on the top of Tianzhu Peak. After going up the mountain, this guy was like a gorilla in Tarzan. He beat his strong chest with both hands and howled wildly. Toy boy, come here quickly and let me tear you apart. Qin Haodong still put his hands behind his back. He looked at the big guy in front of him. To be able to practice external kung fu to such an extreme existence, it really required extremely high talent and great effort. He said indifferently, yes, but you have to have the ability. Go to hell. Khan roared, and his huge fist suddenly smashed toward Qin Haodong's face. This punch was so powerful that even the surrounding air seemed to collapse, making a dull whistling sound. It's over. The beast god is here. Qin Haodong is dead. Qin Haodong's luck is too bad. If the other 2 saints were here, he could still have a whole body, but the savage beast god is here. He will definitely be torn to pieces, don't be noisy. You forget that Qin Haodong is also a saint. He just flew up. Maybe he can create a miracle. While many warriors were talking, Qin Haodong also made a move. He did not choose to dodge as others thought, but also punched out. His punch looked light, not as powerful as Khan's. His fist was also many times smaller than Khan's. The 2 fists, one big and one small, formed a sharp contrast. Before everyone could sigh, there was a loud bang. The 2 fists collided, and the loud sound was deafening. Then the incomparably manic airflow swept away the gravel, dead branches, and rotten leaves on the top of the mountain. The most surprising thing was that Qin Haodong only took 4 or 5 steps back, while the tall body of the savage beast god, like being hit by a cannonball, quickly retreated more than 10 meters. If he hadn't reached out to grab a small tree next to him, he would have been knocked down from Tianzhu Peak. Suddenly, everyone was stunned. They could not imagine that such a thin young man could defeat the savage beast god in terms of strength. My God, what did I see? How did he do it? Such a small body is stronger than the savage beast god. I really don't know how he practiced. No way, I bet all my money on the savage beast god. That's all I have. Chapter 797. What these people didn't know was that Qin Haodong was practicing the evergreen wood longevity body, which was famous in the cultivation world. In terms of strength, it was not inferior to any external martial arts. At the foot of the mountain, Zhang Wudi smiled and murmured, "Interesting. I wanted to use you as a stepping stone, but it seems that you are stronger than I thought." After being beaten back by the punch, savage beast god did not feel fear at all. On the contrary, his animal nature was aroused. His eyes were blood red, and he let out an earth-shattering roar. Then, he rushed at Qin Haodong again. Compared with others, he had an incomparable advantage, which was his strong body. However, in front of Qin Haodong's evergreen wood longevity body, his advantage did not exist at all. Whether it was speed, strength, or physical toughness, he was completely suppressed. In this case, his only fate was to be used as a sandbag. In just a few minutes, Khan was sent flying dozens of times by Qin Haodong. However, this guy's body refining technique was really powerful. Although he was beaten black and blue, he was not injured. Pretty boy, even though you're very powerful, so what? No one can break my defense. I am invincible. Khan said and hammered his chest with both hands again, showing his strong defense. Khan's defense is really powerful. I heard that even a sniper rifle can't penetrate his body. I bet that Khan will win. Although he can't win, it seems that he won't lose either. This fight is likely to be a draw, I don't think so. Although Qin Haodong seems to have some advantages, his strength is limited after all. When his strength is exhausted, he will be torn to pieces. Just as people were discussing the outcome, Qin Haodong's hand flashed with a golden light and suddenly stabbed Khan's chest. In terms of speed, Khan could not compare with Qin Haodong at all. In the face of this shocking sword, he had no ability to dodge. However, he did not panic too much. Just like what people said, even a bullet from a sniper rifle could not penetrate his skin, let alone an ordinary sword. But in the blink of an eye, a heart-wrenching pain came from his chest. Khan turned pale with fright. He hadn't felt this kind of pain for a long time. Ever since his body refining cultivation method reached the large success stage, no one had ever been able to break through his defense. Lowering his head, he saw that a large golden sword had already pierced through his left chest, gradually penetrating into his 7th wound. He only wanted to obtain the map of the ancient ruins. As long as he obtained the treasures in the ruins and raised his cultivation, it wouldn't be difficult for him to flatten the Tang sect. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "You talk too much. Let's do it. Brat, go to hell." Seeing that there was no hope of peace talks, Cha Taihang roared and punched Qin Haodong fiercely. Since he was known as the Fist Saint, his punch was naturally very powerful. It was not inferior to Khan's punch at all. Moreover, he was more agile than Khan, and his fist technique was more exquisite. Halfway through his punch, it had already turned into a sky full of fist shadows. In the eyes of the people at the foot of the mountain, Qin Haodong had been surrounded by Cha Taihang's fist shadows at this moment, and there was no way for him to escape. A grain of light dares to compete with the bright moon. Qin Haodong snorted coldly and then threw a punch. With the existence of the spirit, no matter how fancy Cha Taihang's fist technique was, it was just an illusion. In the blink of an eye, Qin Haodong found the real body. The two fists collided. Under the full force of the two saint-level masters, the sky and the earth changed color, and the sand and stones were flying. In terms of strength, Cha Taiheng's fist technique was a little worse than Khan's. This punch only made Qin Haodong take 2 or 3 steps back slightly, and he was directly shaken away like a kite with a broken string. Fortunately, he could control the qi of heaven and earth, so he did not fall off Tianzhu Peak, but flew back again. Although it was only a head-on collision, Cha Taiheng had thoroughly realized Qin Haodong's strength. In the face of such a powerful opponent, even if he could win, he would pay the price of half his life. Of course, this was not what he wanted. Qin Haodong, I admit that you are very strong, but there is still Zhan Wudi behind you. He is your most powerful enemy today. If you save your strength, you can still fight with him. If we fight to the death, I'm afraid you will only have a dead end. So listen to my advice, as long as you give me the map, I will leave immediately, and at the same time, I will pay you 1 billion yuan as compensation. You think too much. It won't take me too much effort to kill a player like you. Besides, you can't leave today. I will definitely do what I promised Kim Ji-hyun. After saying that, Qin Haodong did not waste any more time with him. In a flash, he appeared in front of Cha Taiheng. With a flash of golden light, the Xian Yuan sword turned into a sky full of sword shadows and drowned him. Cha Taiheng was shocked. He had just seen the power of the Xian Yuan sword. Even the beast god Khan's defense could not resist it, let alone him. He hurriedly tried his best and punched Qin Haodong's sword shadows with his 2 fists like raindrops, trying to resolve them. The following 2 chapters are for readers who have monthly votes. Chapter 798. Although Cha Taiheng tried his best, he was not Qin Haodong, who had a spirit. He punched, but all of his punches hit the air. All of his punches were illusions. Suddenly, he felt a chill in his chest. The sword shadows all over the sky dissipated, and a golden sword was inserted in his left chest, directly piercing his heart. Puff, Cha Taiheng spat out a mouthful of blood. He had thought that at least he would not lose to Qin Haodong, but he did not expect that he would be defeated so miserably. Qin Haodong killed him with just 1 punch and 1 sword. Qin Haodong raised his leg and kicked him in the lower abdomen, directly kicking him down from Tianzhu Peak. Cha Taiheng's body fell straight from the top of the mountain and fell in front of the people of the Tang sect with a plop. Falling from such a high mountain, Cha Taiheng had been smashed into a pile of meat paste. Ah! With a harsh scream, Kim Ji-hyun rushed up with a sharp dagger in her hand, stabbing Cha Taiheng's body that had been smashed into mud again. This man had slaughtered the whole Kim family for a map. Today, he finally got his revenge. It was a pity that Cha Taiheng, the boxing saint, who was famous in Koryo, died without a whole body because of his greed. Others didn't care about this. What they cared about was their own gambling. Qin Haodong won another game, and those who bet on him had made a lot of money. However, some people had bet on Khan and Cha Taiheng, and now they had lost so much that they could not even put on their pants. However, even though they had won 2 games in a row, the major casinos did not lower the odds between Zhan Wudi and Qin Haodong. In contrast, they were more optimistic about the famous invincible King Kong. Zhan Wudi stood on the top of the mountain and narrowed his eyes slightly. Qin Haodong's strength was constantly refreshing his understanding. It seemed that it was impossible for him not to fight. He gently tapped his feet on the top of the mountain, and in the blink of an eye, he had already appeared on the top of Tianzhu Peak. The onlookers immediately burst into cheers. Zhan Wudi, who was at the middle stage of the Saint Realm, was much stronger than the 2 people just now with his teleportation skill. Zhan Wudi was still standing with his hands behind his back. He glanced at Qin Haodong and said proudly, "Boy, you're not bad. You're finally qualified for me to attack you. This is your honor, but also your sorrow. As long as I attack you, you'll definitely die." Although Qin Haodong could feel his opponent's strength, he was not too nervous. He said calmly, "Zhan Wudi, show me your real skills. It's useless to just talk." Zhan Wudi frowned and said, "Young man, ignorance is bliss. Although you are very powerful, you are still no match for me. Admit defeat. You know that my target this time is not you." Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "There's no such thing as admitting defeat in my dictionary. Since I've accepted your challenge, we must determine the winner." Zhan Wudi's face instantly turned cold. He originally wanted to preserve some of his strength, but since the other party didn't know what was good for them, he had to make a move. "Since you want to die, I'll send you on your way." After a low shout, a powerful momentum suddenly broke out. Zhan Wudi cultivated the frost qi. When he burst out with all his strength, the whole top of Tianzhu Peak was eroded by the cold air, and the trees and rocks were instantly wrapped in frost. "It's really powerful," Qin Haodong exclaimed in his heart. He quickly ran the green with genuine qi to resist the bone-piercing cold air. "Watch my fist." Zhan Wudi shouted again and then punched Qin Haodong. Compared with Khan, the beast god, and Che Teheng, the boxing saint, this punch was much more powerful. After the punch, the surrounding air let out a shrill scream, like the roar of a fighter plane breaking the sound barrier when it took off. Oh my god, the speed of the punch broke the sound barrier. Yan Feifei and the others at the foot of Tianzhu Peak all cried out in surprise. As a martial saint, they knew how powerful this punch was. At the same time, everyone's hearts were in their mouths. Could Qin Haodong resist such a powerful Zhan Wudi? Those who bet on Zhan Wudi suddenly cheered. He was indeed a powerful invincible Vitra. His attack was extraordinary. Facing the punch that broke the sound barrier, Qin Haodong's pupils suddenly shrank. Originally, he wanted to fight with Zhan Wudi, but now it seemed that it was impossible. He could only use his trump card. Amitba. Zhan Wudi, stop. But at this moment, a monk in a red cassock suddenly appeared in front of Qin Haodong. He raised his hand and gently clapped forward. This move seemed to be very casual, but it easily resolved Zhan Wudi's punch. Zhan Wudi punched the monk's palm and quickly flew back. After stabilizing his body, he said in a deep voice, "Hao Yu, you're finally here. Master Hao Yu, oh my god, Master Hao Yu is here. Is this Master Hao Yu, who is known as the top master in Wuxia? I finally see him in person. Master Hao Yu is here. It seems that Zhan Wudi is going to lose today, that's hard to say. I heard that the two of them fought for 3 days and 3 nights before Master Hao Yu narrowly won with one move. Now Zhan Wudi has reached the middle stage of the Saint Realm. It's hard to say who will win, Amitba." Master Hao Yu chanted and then said to Zhan Wudi, "Benefactor Zhan, since you've already left Wuxia, why did you come back?" Zhan Wudi laughed and said, "That's right. I said that I wouldn't set foot in Wuxia before I was sure that I could defeat you. But today, I've reached the middle stage of the Saint Realm, which is enough to defeat you. Of course, the original oath doesn't count. Master Hao Yu said, Benefactor Zhan, revenge breeds revenge. There's no end to it. Why are you still obsessed with who will win?" Zhan Wudi said, "That's enough, Hao Yu. You're a fake monk. Why do you keep talking about Buddha? Since you're here today, let's fight to the death." Master Hao Yu frowned and said, "Benefactor Zhan, I wholeheartedly convert to Buddhism." "How can you say that I'm a fake monk?" Zhan Wudi said, "You don't even have a stutter. How can you say that you wholeheartedly convert to Buddhism? I think you're just waiting to return to the secular world." Master Hao Yu was silent for a while. When he converted to Buddhism, his master said that his fate in the secular world was not over, so he did not receive the precepts. "Well, don't talk nonsense. Let's fight. I want to see how much you've improved over the years." Zhan Wudi got into a fighting stance as he spoke. Compared with when he was facing Qin Haodong just now, he looked much more serious. It was obvious that Master Hao Yu was his real opponent. Amitabha. Since Benefactor Zhan is so persistent, I can only kill the evil and defend the Tao. Master Hao Yu was also ready to fight. Wait a minute. It was Qin Haodong who shouted. Since Master Hao Yu appeared, he had been standing there in a daze. It was only now that he came to his senses. Young benefactor, what can I do for you? Master Hao Yu turned around. At this time, he saw Qin Haodong's face clearly. Even though he was a profound Buddhist practitioner, he was still shocked and stood there like a statue. Master Hao Yu, I want to know your name when you were a layman. Qin Haodong looked excited. Master Hao Yu didn't look very old. He was in his 40s or 50s, but he looked so much like Qin Haodong. He was exactly the same as the photo Chu Xianyue had pasted on the bedside, except for the hair on the top of his head. Because of this, he was stunned when he saw Hao Yu. In his opinion, this man was undoubtedly his father, Qin Zongheng. Hearing Qin Haodong's question, Master Hao Yu came to his senses and said, Amitabha. Young benefactor, I'm a monk who has no worldly desires. I've forgotten my layman's name. If you really have no worldly desires, then you wouldn't have been in a daze when you saw me just now, Qin Haodong said excitedly. Master Hao Yu, you're Qin Zongheng of the Qin family, right? You're my father, aren't you? At this time, the mountain wind was whistling. The people at the foot of the mountain could only see Qin Haodong and Master Hao Yu talking, but they didn't know what they were talking about. I think this guy is scared out of his wits by Zhan Wudi. He must be asking Master Hao Yu to help him. What's so strange about that? In the whole of Wuxia, only Master Hao Yu can subdue Zhan Wudi. It seems that Master Hao Yu will be the one to fight in this game. In the face of Qin Haodong's question, Master Hao Yu's calm face showed a touch of embarrassment and hesitation. Amitabha. Young benefactor, Hao Yu has already become a Buddhist monk. Don't talk about layman's affairs anymore. Although Master Hao Yu didn't admit it, his words meant that he agreed with what Qin Haodong said. He was Qin Zongheng, the rare martial arts genius of the Qin family. Nonsense. You're a Buddhist monk, but what about my mother? Qin Haodong said excitedly, do you know that my mother has been waiting for you all these years? How much she has suffered alone. Back then, you left the Qin family because of me. Now that everything has been resolved, I'm still alive, and all the obstacles have been swept away. There are no more obstacles in front of you and my mother. What reason do you have to escape to Buddhism? Well, Master Hao Yu didn't know how to answer for a moment. He had run away from the Qin family because of Qin Haodong's disappearance. He was so desperate that he shaved his head and became a monk. But he didn't expect that his son would stand in front of him again 20 years later. Qin Haodong said, there's no such thing. You have to renounce asceticism now. Go back and take good care of my mother. Hearing their conversation, Zhan Wudi was also stunned. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong and Master Hao Yu were father and son. At this time, the two people in front of him were too emotional and completely unprepared. If he attacked at this time, it was likely that he would kill the father and son together. But he pursued the ultimate of martial arts and had his own dignity as a warrior. He would not do such a dirty thing like sneak attack. He said, Hao Yu, I told you that you are a fake monk. Now that your son has run away, why are you still pretending? Master Hao Yu put his palms together and said, Amitabha. I've sinned. I'm a Buddhist monk. I don't have a son. Seeing that Hao Yu didn't recognize him, Qin Haodong said anxiously, Qin Zongheng, do you have a conscience? It's okay if you don't recognize me, but you can't let my mother down. Before Master Hao Yu could speak, Zhan Wudi said, that's enough. Don't talk about your family matters here. Which one of you is going to fight me? Hao Yu said, of course it's me. He pretended to be calm on the surface, but in fact, his heart was in turmoil. The young man in front of him was his son. He didn't fulfill his responsibility as a father back then. Today, he couldn't let him die in Jean Woody's hands even if he had to risk his life. But unexpectedly, Qin Haodong said, "No," he challenged me. Naturally, I should fight him. Master, how you said, how can you do that? He is at the middle stage of the Saint Realm and has reached the realm of breaking the sound barrier at full speed. You are no match for him at all. You will only die if you fight him. Dad, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. It's not so easy to defeat me. Then Qin Haodong turned to Jean Woody and said, "Come on, your opponent is me. Let's fight." Chapter 799. Jean Woody didn't expect that Qin Haodong would insist on fighting with him after seeing his punch that could break the sound barrier. He sneered and said, "Well, I'll send you off first. Later, I'll send your father to hell to reunite with you." Seeing that Qin Haodong insisted on fighting with him, Master Hao Yu had no choice but to stand aside and watch. Once his son was in danger, he would immediately rescue him. After a few words, Master Hao Yu stepped aside and Qin Haodong faced Jean Woody directly. The people under the stage were not calm at all. "Oh my God, Qin Haodong has been talking for a long time and he still wants to fight with Jean Woody. Is he crazy?" "I don't think he's crazy, but Master Hao Yu doesn't want to help him. It's over. I think Qin Haodong is dead." He can only block 3 moves from Jean Woody at most. Hearing the discussion around them, many women of the Tang sect were nervous. They were all ready to rush up and beat Jean Woody as long as Qin Haodong was in danger. According to Qin Haodong's request, Master Hao Yu stepped back again and again until he reached the edge of Tianzhu Peak. When he looked up again, he suddenly found that the 2 people in front of him had disappeared. The whole top of Tianzhu Peak was shrouded in a thick fog. This is a formation. Feeling the spiritual fluctuations contained in the thick fog, Master Hao Yu immediately realized that this was an extremely advanced formation. No wonder Qin Haodong was so confident. It turned out that he had been prepared. He didn't expect his son to be so outstanding. At such a young age, he had reached the early stage of the Saint Realm and could control such an advanced formation. Inside the formation, Qin Haodong suddenly disappeared before Jean Woody could make a move. However, he had seen a lot of things over the years and knew that this was a formation, so he did not panic too much. He said loudly, "Boy, let me tell you, in front of absolute power, your tricks are useless." After that, the cold qi on his body suddenly burst out again, but soon he found that the cold qi, which used to be extremely powerful, could only cover a range of 1 meter around his body, and it was much weaker than before. What's going on? With doubts in his heart, he suddenly punched again. Although he couldn't see Qin Haodong's shadow, the power of his punch was enough to destroy half of Tianzhu Peak. It was useless for Qin Haodong to hide. However, he soon discovered that the power of this punch was not even 1% of its usual strength. It did not even cause a ripple in the fog. After finding that his cultivation was much weaker than usual, Jean Woody was shocked. Only then did he realize the power of the formation. He quickly stepped on the ground and was ready to fly into the air. From his point of view, no matter how powerful a formation was, it had to have an area of coverage. As long as he rushed out, he could think of a way to break the formation. But soon, he found that his feet were hurting, but he didn't move an inch. He had lost the ability to fly in the array formation. After a series of failures, Jean Woody was a little flustered. His strength had dropped, and he couldn't leave. Wouldn't he become a piece of meat on the chopping board? What do you think? My array formation is not bad, right? As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Haodong pushed away the fog and walked to Jean Woody. He said happily, "This formation is called the Dragon Trapping Formation. It's specially prepared for Saint Realm Masters. In the Dragon Trapping Formation, no one can mobilize the Qi of heaven and earth. Of course, except for me. I'm the master of the formation. This is my world, so I can do whatever I want. Jean Woody was shocked. Compared with a supreme power master, a saint could mobilize the surrounding chi of heaven and earth for his own use. If this formation could really lock the chi of heaven and earth, then he would be no different from a supreme power master. At first, he didn't believe it, but he failed several times. The reason why his cultivation dropped and he couldn't fly was that he couldn't mobilize the chi of heaven and earth. Qin Haodong, this is a fair competition. Do you dare to fight with me fair and square? At this point, he had no other way. He could only hope that Qin Haodong, who was young and aggressive, would be provoked by his words and remove the dragon trapping formation. But what he didn't expect was that Qin Haodong was angry. Instead of removing the formation, he slapped him in the face. Jean Woody, you're so **king shameless. How many years have you been famous? You're a master of the same generation as my father. How dare you challenge a junior? How dare you talk to me fair and square? How dare you hit me? Jean Woody got up from the ground. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Since he became famous, he had never been slapped in the face. Especially in the Qin gang these years, he was like an emperor. Anyone who disrespected him would not be able to see the sun tomorrow. But today, he was slapped in the face by a young man. This slap made him lose his mind. He immediately rushed to Qin Haodong crazily, but as soon as he rushed up, he was slapped back again. Qin Haodong went over and kicked Jean Woody's butt a few more times. You're really brainless. I told you that in this dragon trapping formation, I'm the god. You're not even as good as a 9th level supreme power master. How can you fight with me? Jean Woody completely lost his temper after successive failures. As Qin Haodong said, he couldn't mobilize the chi of heaven and earth. At most, he was a 9th level supreme power master. How could he fight with a saint? Well, I admit defeat. Jean Woody had been overseas for many years, so he naturally knew how to be flexible. Although he was full of anger, he could only swallow it for the time being. He swore in his heart that as long as he got out of this dragon trapping formation, he would not only kill Qin Haodong, but also destroy the entire Tang sect. Qin Haodong had already seen through his thoughts. He chuckled and said, "Do you want to kill me after you get out of the dragon trapping formation and destroy the entire Tang sect? No, I swear to God, don't play tricks with me. Compared with your oath, I believe in my contract more." Qin Haodong interrupted Jean Woody before he could finish his words. He said in a cold voice, "I never leave any hidden dangers for myself. Offer a drop of your blood and be my servant in the future, or die." At the same time, the Xian Yuan sword went straight to Jean Woody's throat. As long as he said no, he would be killed immediately. That's impossible. After all, Jean Woody was a strong man. Although he did not want to die, he was even more unwilling to give up his dignity. Qin Haodong said, "If you don't surrender, not only will I kill you, but I will also destroy your overseas Qin gang. No one will be left alive. I'd rather die than be humiliated." Jean Woody said, "I can admit defeat, but I will never surrender." "Is it really impossible?" Qin Haodong sneered and said, "Don't get me wrong. I just said that no one will be left alive, including your son and daughter in Chinatown, the capital of N country." "What? How do you know that?" Jean Woody suddenly turned pale with fright. He had always thought that he had hidden his son and daughter very well, but he did not expect that the young man in front of him would know everything. Ever since he knew the strength of the overseas Qin gang, Qin Haodong had made up his mind to take Jean Woody in and use the power of the Qin gang to fight against the invasion of the alien demon. However, he also knew that it was not easy to subdue such a strong man, so he asked the Deep Net to help him thoroughly investigate all the secrets of Jean Woody, including his son and daughter. Everyone had a weakness. Jean Woody was not afraid of death, but he cared about his son and daughter. In fact, even if he did not surrender, Qin Haodong would not hurt his son and daughter. However, he did not know this, so he did not dare to take the risk. Well, I choose to surrender. I hope you can keep your word. After that, he bit his index finger and flicked out a drop of blood. Qin Haodong also flicked his index finger gently, and the golden talisman that had been prepared flew into the air and sucked the drop of blood. After the golden light flashed, the rune disappeared, and the master-servant contract was established. From now on, Zhang Wuti would become his slave who would never betray him. Get up. Since Zhang Wuti had become an absolutely trustworthy servant, Qin Haodong briefly told him about the alien demon and asked him to pay more attention to the movements of the alien demon and the angel pharmaceutical overseas. Our relationship must be kept secret. Only the two of us know. I will not use the power of the Qin gang unless it's absolutely necessary. Knowing that Qin Haodong was saving his face, Zhang Wuti said respectfully, "Thank you, master." Well, go back. Qin Haodong waved his hand and directly removed the dragon-trapping formation. The people at the foot of Tianzhu Peak were watching anxiously. Suddenly, they saw the fog dissipate, and Qin Haodong and Zhang Wuti reappeared in front of them. Zhang Wuti said to the people below the platform, "I, Zhang Wuti, have lost this battle." After admitting defeat in public, he rose into the air and disappeared into the sky in an instant. My God, Zhang Wuti lost to Qin Haodong. What the hell is going on? What just happened? It's over. Even Zhang Wuti has lost. My money, is completely gone. All 3 battles were over, and those who bet on Qin Haodong to win had made a lot of money. Of course, there were very few people who bet on Qin Haodong. Only Donnie Randall and the Tang sect had bet heavily on Qin Haodong. At this time, Qin Haodong had no time to think about it. He turned his head and walked toward Master Hao Yu. Young benefactor, since it's over, I'm leaving. Master Hao Yu was about to leave after saying that. At this time, a whistle sounded behind him. 7 or 8 figures from the Tang sect rose into the air, and a group of women directly surrounded Master Hao Yu. This was the signal that Qin Haodong had agreed with them before. As long as he whistled, they would immediately come forward to besiege him. However, this agreement was not used on Zhang Wuti, but on his father. Seeing that he was surrounded, Master Hao Yu was a little angry. Get out of my way, or I won't be polite. Dad, these are all your daughters-in-law. Don't you feel ashamed to fight with them? Qin Haodong's words were like a silver needle, which immediately pierced the genuine qi that Master Hao Yu had raised. If they were really his daughters-in-law, he would really be embarrassed to fight with them. At the same time, he was extremely amazed at how his son had found so many daughters-in-law, and all of them were stunning beauties. He glanced at them one by one and suddenly saw a figure. His heart suddenly trembled. This. How could it be possible? At the same time, Yan Feifei also recognized him and exclaimed, "Are you Qin Zongheng?" Since entering the Tang sect, she had finally calmed down and was able to get along with Chu Xianyue peacefully. But when she saw Qin Zongheng, she was still shocked. Under the fluctuation of her mind, her genuine qi was in disorder, and she fell straight down the mountain. Qin Haodong was already prepared. He moved and took her into his arms. He whispered in her ear, "Since you have chosen me, forget the past. He is no longer Qin Zongheng. He is just your man's father." Hearing his words, Yan Feifei's heart knot was instantly untied. She said shyly, "Well, I see." Chapter 800. Qin Haodong persuaded Yan Feifei, but Qin Zongheng had no intention of staying. He said, "Don't stop me anymore. I've left the secular world for more than 20 years. There's no need for me to go back now." Seeing that his father was so stubborn, Qin Haodong was a little annoyed. "If you continue to be a monk, what about my mother?" Qin Zongheng sighed and said, "I don't have the face to face the world. Now only Hao Yue is left. This sentence also represented his mentality. He had run away alone for so many years and was too ashamed to face Chu Xianyue. You're running away. You're a coward. Hearing his words, Qin Haodong was relieved. Since he was too ashamed to face her, it meant that he had not really reached the state of emptiness. Since he had not completely let it go, he could bring him home. Qin Zongheng's face froze, and then he said, "Whether you're a coward or a man, everything is false. I'm leaving." After he finished speaking, he gently waved his hand and an invisible force pushed Hu Shaoxian, Feng Wu and the others to the side. Knowing that this was the father that Qin Haodong had been looking for many years, the women did not know how to deal with it. They could only look at Qin Haodong. "Wait a minute." Qin Haodong stopped Qin Zongheng and said, "Now I've controlled 6 of the 7 major families in the capital. I haven't figured out how to deal with the Qin family. Based on what the Qin family has done, I could have destroyed it, but I didn't do it because of you. I wanted you to control the Qin family after you returned. Since you don't want to, I can only destroy the Qin family." Hearing this, Qin Zongheng's expression finally changed. "You can't do this. After all, he's your grandfather. I've been an adopted orphan since I was a child. If I don't even have a father, how can I have a grandfather? In short, if you return, I'll keep the Qin family. If you don't return, there's no need for the Qin family to exist in the capital." This, feeling that Qin Haodong was not joking, Qin Zongheng hesitated. As a child who grew up in an aristocratic family, the interests of the family were extremely important. This was also the reason why he would rather run away than fall out with Qin Zhan Ao. Seeing that it was working, Qin Haodong struck while the iron was hot and said again, "It's not easy for my mother to be alone all these years. There are countless people pursuing her, and they can surround the capital city. But my mother has always been thinking about you, so she has never agreed. If you leave again this time, there will be no need for my mother to guard you. When I go back, I will tell her that you are already dead and find her another one." Hearing this, Qin Zongheng immediately became angry. "Brat, how dare you?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Why not? If you dare to leave, I dare to do it." Qin Zongheng had nothing to say, and his expression had already loosened. Although he was wearing a monastic robe, he still could not forget the woman he had once pledged his eternal love to. "Hurry up and come home with me. You don't even have a stutter in your head. How can you still be a monk?" Qin Haodong took Qin Zongheng's arm and rushed to the capital with the Tang sect. Qin Zongheng originally wanted to be a monk because of his obsession. Now that his obsession had been resolved by his son, he immediately became eager and couldn't wait to see Chu Xianyue. The people at the foot of the mountain were confused. They didn't know why Master Hao Yu left with Qin Haodong. Others didn't see anything, but the father and son were related by blood. Qin Zhan Ao recognized that Master Hao Yu was his son, Qin Zongheng, who had been missing for many years. If Qin Haodong hadn't recognized him, he might have suspected that the two of them just looked similar. But now that Master Hao Yu had left with the people of the Tang sect, he must be Qin Zongheng. After the surprise, he said excitedly, "Zongheng, my Zongheng is finally back." Qin Zhanlong asked, "Brother, what are you talking about? Where is Zongheng?" Qin Zhanfeng followed and said, "Yes, brother, are you crazy about your son? He is Zongheng." Qin Zhan Ao pointed to Master Hao Yu, who had gone far away, and said, "No wonder there has been no news of him all these years. It turns out that Zongheng has become a monk." Only then did everyone understand that Master Hao Yu was Qin Zongheng, and Qin Zongheng was Master Hao Yu. Hearing that Qin Zongheng had returned, everyone in the Qin family was overjoyed at first, but then their emotions became complicated. Since Qin Haodong took control of the capital, compared with the other 6 families, the relationship between the Qin family and the Tang sect was somewhat ambiguous. Because of what they had done before, Qin Haodong did not have a good impression of the Qin family. This caused the Qin family to always be worried, for fear that one day the Tang sect would be unhappy and erase the Qin family from the capital. Now that Qin Zongheng had returned to the capital, his cultivation had reached the middle stage of the Saint Realm. If he was in charge, the Qin family would be like the sun in the sky. However, judging from the current situation, Qin Zongheng had not resolved the resentment of the past. Otherwise, he would have come to meet them long ago. Therefore, it was still impossible to judge whether the future of the Qin family would be a blessing or a curse. At this moment, boundless regret surged into Qin Zhan Ao's heart again. He had an outstanding son and a powerful grandson, but they were excluded from the Qin family because of his mistake. He sighed, waved his hand and said, "Come on, let's go back." After they left, the other 6 families also returned to the capital one after another. In addition, the martial artists who came to watch the fun also dispersed. The huge Kunlun mountain returned to peace again. In the Tang sect, Chu Xianyue was playing with the little fellow when Qin Haodong rushed in from the outside. "Son, you're back. Where did you go? None of you are left." Afraid that his mother would be worried, Qin Haodong did not tell Chu Xianyue about the battle. He said with a smile, "I brought you a big treasure. It's a big surprise. Do you want to see it?" "What big treasure? Is it that Xiaoxian and the others are pregnant?" Chu Xianyue cried out in surprise. Qin Zongheng had disappeared for so many years, and now she was almost desperate. What she wanted most was for Qin Haodong to give her a grandson. "Mom, grandchildren are from our own family. How can you bring them back from outside?" Qin Haodong said as he took out a black cloth that he had prepared and covered Chu Xuanyue's eyes. "You'll see the surprise soon." "Child, what the hell are you doing?" Chu Xianyue said this, but she did not object. She enjoyed the intimacy between her son and her very much. After more than 10 seconds, Qin Haodong said, "Get ready. The moment of happiness is here." After that, he suddenly removed the black cloth. "Child," Chu Xianyue was about to say something, but she suddenly felt as if her neck was being strangled. She could not say a word. A face that had haunted her dreams appeared in front of her. Qin Zongheng, the man she had been thinking about for so many years, suddenly appeared in front of her. For a moment, she felt like she was in a dream. At this time, Qin Zongheng had already taken off his kasaya and changed into a suit. He looked as handsome as Qin Haodong. Chu Xianyue slowly stretched out her hands, held Qin Zongheng's cheeks and said, "Zongheng, are you really back? Or am I dreaming?" "Xianyue, it's me. I'm back," Qin Zongheng said as he took Chu Xianyue into his arms. Feeling his strong arms, Chu Xianyue was sure that she was not dreaming. Suddenly, years of grievances surged in her heart and she burst into tears. Qin Haodong knew that it was not suitable for him to stay here at this time. He picked up the little fellow next to him and walked out of the door, closing it behind him. Lin Momo, Hu Xiaoxian, and the other women were waiting outside the door. They wanted to see the scene of the two reuniting after a long time, but they were too embarrassed to enter. After going out, the little fellow asked curiously, "Papa, who is that bald man? He bullied Grandma to tears. Why don't you care?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Tang Tang, that's your grandfather. Don't talk nonsense." "Grandpa? Why did he bully Grandma?" "He didn't bully Grandma. Grandma was so happy that she cried." The little fellow still did not quite understand and asked again, "Why is Grandma so happy?" "Because Grandma likes Grandpa's head very much. She thinks that a bald head is too handsome." Hearing such an outrageous answer, the other girls laughed. "Oh. It turns out that a bald head is so handsome." The little fellow seemed to understand and then said, "Papa, how about shaving your head tomorrow?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Okay, but I'm afraid that your mothers won't agree. Chi Wan rolled her eyes at him and said, of course not. If you become a monk, I don't know how many nuns will be harmed. Hu Shaoxian pinched his waist and said, if you dare to hide from us and become a monk, we will directly tear down your temple, then cut you up and send you to the palace to be a eunuch. Looking at the eyes of the people around him, Qin Haodong quickly said, I don't want to be a monk, I don't want to be a monk. I have so many good wives. How can I be a monk? That night, they held a grand banquet to celebrate Qin Zongheng's return. The next day, Qin Zongheng returned to the Qin family alone and discussed with Qin Zhan Ao, the family master, in the secret room for a whole morning. Then Qin Zhan Ao officially announced to the public that he would step down as the family master and that Qin Zongheng would officially be the family master of the Qin family. Qin Haodong was just about to go to the clinic with Su Hui when Shenyuan Ligay suddenly came. Qin Haodong knew that something must have happened when the master of the Shenyuan pavilion came. After letting him into the living room, he asked, is there any news from the alien demons? Shenyuan Ligay said, it's not the alien demons, but the news from Angel Pharmaceutical. After careful investigation by the intelligence personnel of the Shenyuan pavilion, it is confirmed that the headquarters of Angel Pharmaceutical is hidden in City N of M country. Do you have a specific location? Shenyuan Ligay said, the specific location hasn't been found out yet. The nominal headquarters of Angel Pharmaceutical is also there. Under the cover of the pharmaceutical company, their headquarters are hidden very deeply. So far, we haven't found out where they are hiding. Qin Haodong nodded and said, it's inevitable that the alien demons are hiding very deeply. Otherwise, they would have been found out over the years. Shenyuan Ligay added, Sacred Master, there's another thing that happened. I think it's necessary to report to you. Qin Haodong said, what's the matter? After Sun Fengqing and Sun Bowi arrived in City N of M country, they suddenly disappeared a few days later. They couldn't be found after many investigations. Now the Sun family has called the police. I guess this matter has something to do with Angel Pharmaceutical. It's very likely that they were the ones who took them away. Hearing this news, Qin Haodong was lost in thought. He had killed Dr. Jins in Yindian province and destroyed the plan of Angel Pharmaceutical. With the strength of Angel Pharmaceutical, it was easy to find out that Sun Fengqing had participated in his treatment of the zombie virus and had the prescription of the Sanbao blood-cleansing elixir. It was reasonable for them to take him away for related research. After a while, he said, it seems that I have to make a trip to M country. He admired Sun Fengqing's enthusiasm and magnanimity for traditional Chinese medicine. It could be said that Sun Fengqing had been taken away by Angel Pharmaceutical this time because of him. In order to rescue Sun Fengqing and Sun Bowi and find out the secret of Angel Pharmaceutical, this trip to M country was imperative. Chapter 801. Shenyuan Ligay said, Sacred Master, do you need me to send you some men? Qin Haodong said, no, I can go by myself. If there are too many people, it will be too big of a target and inconvenient to move. He had now subdued Zhan Wudi, which was equivalent to subduing the entire overseas Qin gang. For the time being, there was no need to use the power of Wuxia. After sending Shenyuan Ligay away, he called the women to his side and told them about his trip to M country. This time, it might not be a short time, so he naturally had to say hello to everyone. Although they were reluctant to leave, they knew that he had something to do, so they didn't say anything. Lin Momo said, I think Tangmen Pharmaceutical has developed to a certain scale. It's time to enter the overseas market. This time, you can go to M country to set up a vanguard. It's better to settle all the early matters of the factory. Qin Haodong said, we can produce in Wuxia and then sell the medicine directly. Can't our blood revival elixir get the market there? Boss Lin shook her head. It's not as simple as you think. Although the blood revival elixir is the only medicine that can cure leukemia, the Western world is very resistant to traditional Chinese medicine in Wuxia. Some countries directly legislate to restrict the import of traditional Chinese medicine. Although some countries do not completely restrict it, the approval procedures are very strict. It is normal for a set of procedures to be delayed for 3 to 5 years. Our professional team has done research and found that the best way to enter the Western market is to build factories there, so that we can save a lot of trouble. Okay, I see. After hearing Lin Momo's words, Qin Haodong understood what was going on. Now the big cake of the pharmaceutical industry was in the hands of big Western consortiums, such as Angel Pharmaceutical. They were thinking about how to eat the cake of Wuxia every day, so they naturally would not allow traditional Chinese medicine to compete with them. Therefore, it was expected that the restrictions were strict. In this case, even if they built factories in the West, it would still be very difficult. Now that he had made the decision, he did not delay any longer. After some simple preparations, he rushed to the airport. There were many things to do in M country this time, so it was not good for him to be too high profile. Therefore, he did not use his private plane, but boarded a flight to M country. Lin Momo had booked a first-class ticket for him. After getting on the plane, he was led to his seat by a beautiful stewardess. Sitting next to him was a woman. She was reading a fashion magazine, and her face was covered by it. Even if he couldn't see her face clearly, he could feel the woman's strong charm, because her figure was too good. Her buttocks, long legs, any one of them could instantly capture a man's attention. It seemed that his luck with women was pretty good. He could meet beautiful women just by taking a plane. He just didn't know what they looked like. Thinking of this, Qin Haodong sat in his seat. Feeling that someone was coming, the woman put down the magazine in her hand. When she saw Qin Haodong, she shouted, "Little brother, it's you. Are you going to M country too?" Qin Haodong turned his head and saw that the woman was Shi Yumi, the president of Liusu Clothing and a well-known clothing designer in Wuxia. He had once saved her. "Sister, I didn't expect to meet you here." Qin Haodong was also a little surprised. "I have something to do in City N of M country." Shi Yumi smiled charmingly and said, "Little brother, I'm also going to City N of M country. We took the same flight and our seats are in the same place. It seems that we are really fated." Qin Haodong nodded with a smile. He had to admit that Shi Yumi's charm was so strong that he couldn't help but have a good impression of her. "Sister, why are you going to M country? Are you going to travel?" Shi Yumi said, "I'm not that lucky. Although I travel all year round, it's all for work. I don't have time to travel at all. This time I'm going to M country to participate in a well-known fashion competition." After that, the two of them chatted with each other. Shi Yumi was a person with a low sense of humor. She giggled from time to time. Moreover, she was too beautiful. When she laughed, she was so beautiful that the others in the cabin all cast envious and jealous eyes at Qin Haodong. Just then, a tall Caucasian man walked in. This guy had a big beard, wore a well-ironed branded suit, and wore a valuable Rolex gold watch. He had an arrogant look on his face. This guy was stunned at first when he saw Shi Yumi, and then a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. There were not many seats in the first-class cabin. Qin Haodong and Shi Yumi's seats were on the right side of the plane, while the bearded man and another middle-aged man from Wuxia sat on the left side of the cabin. After confirming his seat, the bearded man said to Qin Haodong in stiff Wuxia language, "Boy, it's not appropriate for you to sit here. Let's change seats." Everyone could see that his purpose was not to change seats, but to change seats for Shi Yumi next to him. Qin Haodong glanced at him and said, "Sir, this is the seat I bought. What's wrong with it?" The bearded man said rudely, "Do you know who I am? If I ask you to change seats, you can do it. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Whether it was Wuxia or M country, there would be such arrogant people. Qin Haodong didn't bother to pay attention to him. He turned his head and continued to chat with Shi Yumi. The bearded man was obviously very dissatisfied with Qin Haodong's attitude, but thinking that this was not his territory, he finally put up with it. He took out a stack of bills from his pocket, threw them in front of Qin Haodong, and said, "Boy, here are $2,000. As long as you change seats with me, all the money is yours." Qin Haodong frowned at him and said, "I don't need your money, and I don't want to change seats with you." Shi Yumi also said discontentedly, "How can you be like this? Do you know how to respect others? There are some things that can't be bought with money." The bearded man smiled disdainfully and said, "Everything has a price. The reason why you can't buy it is because the price is not high enough." Then he threw another stack of bills in front of Qin Haodong and said, "Here are $10,000. Is it enough for you to change seats?" Qin Haodong picked up the stack of bills and said, "It's still a little short. If you pay another $10,000, I can give you my seat." Shi Yumi was shocked. She didn't expect that Qin Haodong was such a money grubber. The bearded man laughed and said proudly, "See? I told you that everything has a price. The reason why you can't buy it is because the price is not high enough." Then he took out another $10,000 and slapped it in front of Qin Haodong. He said arrogantly, "Take the money and leave now." He changed seats to get close to Shi Yumi. The reason why he was so generous was that he wanted to show Shi Yumi that he was a rich man who spent money like water, so that he could win the heart of a beautiful woman. Under many contemptuous eyes, Qin Haodong gave up his seat with 2 stacks of bills and sat in the seat that originally belonged to the bearded man. Then he gave the stack of bills to the middle-aged man next to him and said, "Uncle, this money is for you. How about changing seats with my girlfriend?" The middle-aged man had bought the plane ticket for less than $1,000. Not only did he get back the cost of the plane ticket, but he also made a lot of money. Of course, he wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. He immediately smiled and said, "No problem, no problem. I'll change seats now." Then he immediately got up and changed seats with Shi Yumi. The people around were stunned at first, and then they burst into laughter. Only then did they realize that the bearded man had been fooled by Qin Haodong. Shi Yumi also knew that she had misunderstood Qin Haodong. She glanced at him charmingly and whispered in his ear, "You're too bad, but I like it." The two of them were very close, and Shi Yumi almost kissed his cheek. A charming body fragrance came to his nose, which made Qin Haodong's mind ripple. Seeing that he had spent more than $20,000 in exchange for a useless seat, and the one sitting next to him was a middle-aged man, the bearded man was furious. He suddenly stood up, pointed at Qin Haodong, and shouted, "Boy, how dare you fool me?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Why did you say that? You wanted to change seats with me, and I've already done it for you. Is there a problem? Boy, you're courting death." The bearded man had always been arrogant. At this time, he could no longer control his anger. He punched Qin Haodong's face hard with his sandbag-sized fist. Seeing this scene, the other people in the cabin were worried for Qin Haodong. It seemed that this young man was going to suffer. The stewardess immediately became nervous when she saw this scene. She turned around and was about to call the captain. But at this moment, an amazing scene happened. As soon as the bearded man's fist was thrown out, it was caught by Qin Haodong's palm and could no longer move forward. The bearded man's face turned red, but his fist seemed to be clamped by an iron clamp. He could neither move forward nor retreat. At the same time, a strong force hit him, and he even heard the sound of his bones being squeezed. "Ah! Let me go. Damn it, let me go." The bearded man twitched in pain, and tears almost fell from his eyes. Qin Haodong gently pushed him back to his seat. "I'm telling you, don't provoke me again, or you won't be able to bear the consequences. You wait for me. I have a lot of money. I will never let you go." The bearded man kept saying harsh words, but his eyes were full of fear. He did not dare to attack Qin Haodong again. It was obvious that he was trying to be tough. At this time, he regretted not taking his bodyguards with him. Otherwise, he would teach this toy boy a lesson. The middle-aged man sitting next to him seemed to be unable to stand it anymore. He said disdainfully, "I can't stand people like you who brag. You always talk about money as if you are really rich." The bearded man had just been defeated by Qin Haodong, and now he was looked down upon by the middle-aged man next to him. He suddenly became furious. He patted the black bag under his armpit and said, "I have money. Why don't you believe it? Do you see this bag? It's a limited edition Prada worth $150,000. I have $200,000 in it now." The middle-aged man seemed to be a little shocked by the bearded man's momentum, but he was still unconvinced and said, "That's nothing. I also have $200,000, but it's not cash." The bearded man finally saved a little face. He took out a bank card from his pocket and said, "Do you want to compete with me in terms of bank cards? I have $30 million in this card. It's just my pocket money, but it's enough for you to spend for a lifetime. Let me tell you, I am the young master of the Jared family. My wealth is beyond your imagination." Speaking of this, he suddenly stood up from his seat and looked around with an amazing momentum. 2 passengers from City N of M country began to talk about him. "Oh my God, he is a member of the Jared family. No wonder he is so rich." Hearing the discussion, the bearded man was even more proud. But at this moment, a black pistol was pointed at his head. "Young Master Jared, take out all your money." Chapter 802. This time, the people in the cabin were dumbfounded. They saw that the person holding the gun was the middle-aged uncle who was smiling just a moment ago. At this moment, he had turned into a ferocious demon. Jared was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He just wanted to show off his wealth. How could he attract robbers on the plane? How did he bring his pistol on the plane? The beautiful stewardess was stunned for a moment. Then she reached out to press the alarm button next to her, but a big hand grabbed her wrist. "Don't move, or I'll kill you." It was a passenger sitting in the front row who stopped her. Then several people stood up one after another in the cabin, all with pistols in their hands. The black muzzles were pointed at the passengers in the cabin. Qin Haodong and Shi Yumi were both shocked. They didn't expect that almost half of the passengers in the first-class cabin were robbers. The middle-aged man was the leader of these people. He held a gun against Jared's head with one hand and slapped his big hairy face with the other. "Didn't you just say that you were very rich? Take it out now, or I'll blow your head off." Jared cried in a trembling voice, "Don't mess around. I'm a member of the Jared family. If you offend me, you won't be able to survive in M country. Do you want to die? How dare you scare me at this time?" The middle-aged man punched Jared's nose hard, and blood splashed everywhere. "I'm a hijacker. This plane is about to change its route. Do you think we'll go to M country to die? I'm not afraid of your bullshit Jared family." Qin Haodong originally wanted to subdue these robbers, but he was very happy to see Jared being taught a lesson by them, so he didn't rush to do it. Evil people will be tortured by evil people. He had just shown off his wealth, and now he got his retribution after being robbed. "Don't do it. I'll pay you," Jared said as he hurriedly handed over the limited edition Prada in his hand. The middle-aged man took it and opened the zipper. There were 20 neat stacks of US dollars in it. It seemed that the bearded man didn't lie about this. The middle-aged man took out a bank card and handed it to Jared. "Transfer 30 million to this card. If you don't give me 1 cent, I'll turn your head into a rotten watermelon immediately." This, Gerard was a little dumbfounded. Although there was 30 million US dollars in his card, it was not pocket money as he said. It was a project investment fund given to him by his family. Originally, he came to Wuxia to discuss investment, but he did not succeed. If he lost this money, he would definitely be punished by his family when he returned. Seeing Gerard's hesitation, the middle-aged man suddenly became unhappy. He reached out and grabbed Gerard's beard. Gerard let out a blood-curdling scream, and his bearded face was now covered with blood. "I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you right now." Gerard had been spoiled since he was a child and had never been tortured like this. He quickly took out his mobile phone and began to transfer money to the bank card in his hand. Seeing him take out his phone, the stewardess professionally stopped him. "Sir, you are not allowed to use your phone during the flight. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous my ass. If you continue to disturb our boss, I'll beat you to death right now." The big robber next to her immediately pointed the pistol in his hand at the air stewardess's head. The air stewardess was so scared that her beautiful face turned pale and she no longer dared to speak. "What's going on?" The captain found the abnormality in the cabin. As soon as he poked his head out of the cockpit, he was dragged in by the big robber. The robber shouted fiercely, "Behave yourselves, or I'll shoot you all one by one." Seeing the ferocity of the robber, the other passengers in the cabin shuddered and no one dared to make a sound. Soon, Gerard transferred all the $30 million into the card. The middle-aged man was very satisfied with his performance. He patted him on the cheek and said, "Sit here obediently. I'll rob you of your money, not your life. But if you don't behave yourself, I don't mind shooting you." "Behave, I'll behave myself." Gerard hurriedly sat back in his seat. The middle-aged man stepped out. After looking around, he fixed his eyes on Shiyumi. "Little girl, you're too coquettish. Not only the bearded foreigner has taken a fancy to you, but I've also taken a fancy to you. Anyway, we still have a long flight ahead of us. Why don't we do it first?" Then he pointed the pistol at Shiyumi, pointed to the bathroom next to him, and said, "Go in now and let me have a good time. Then I'll consider letting you go." Seeing that this guy was staring at her, Shiyumi was so scared that her face turned pale. She held Qin Haodong's arm and said nervously, "Don't do this. Please let me go. I can give you as much money as you want." Qin Haodong looked calm, but he was not in a hurry to make a move. He had just counted that there were 5 robbers in the first-class cabin. He didn't know if there were any in the economy class, so he had to seize the opportunity to make a move. Otherwise, it was easy to cause casualties. "I want to rob you of your money, but also your sex." A greedy look flashed across the middle-aged man's face. "It's the first time in my life that I've seen such a beautiful girl like you. Cut the crap and go there." "No, I can't do this." Shiyumi was so scared that she trembled all over. She held Qin Haodong's arm tightly, her full chest pressed tightly against Qin Haodong's arm. "You're courting death. Are you pretending to be innocent in front of me?" The middle-aged man raised his pistol and said fiercely, "Don't think that I don't know what's going on with you. I saw it just now. You met this toy boy here by chance. You're not a couple at all." Shiyumi said, "No, it's really not. I've liked him for a long time. He once saved my life, and I fell in love with him since then. Although he doesn't know it, in my heart, he has always been my boyfriend. He's the man I've chosen in this life." Qin Haodong was slightly surprised. He knew that Shiyumi had a good impression of him, but he didn't expect it to be to this extent. However, he was not sure whether Shiyumi was sincere or just saying it to protect her innocence. The middle-aged man obviously didn't believe her either. "Stop pretending, you be *tch. Keep pretending." Shiyumi said, "No, I really didn't. I really love him very much." "Well, since you like him so much, I'll kill him now." As the middle-aged man spoke, he raised the gun in his hand and pointed it at Qin Haodong. "No, please don't." In a moment of desperation, Shiyumi turned over and threw herself on Qin Haodong, protecting him tightly. Qin Haodong had just found an opportunity and was about to use silver needles to hit the robber's acupoints, but Shi Yumi threw herself at him. It seemed that she was protecting him, but in fact, she was protecting the 5 robbers, so that he couldn't do anything. "Little girl, I didn't know that you valued this toy boy so much," the middle-aged man said with a sinister smile. "Since you care so much about him, I'll give you a choice. Either go to the bathroom and take off your pants and wait for me, or I'll kill him now." Shi Yumi said pitifully, I can give you money. I can give you a lot of money. Please let us go. Normally speaking, I like money, but you're so seductive. If I don't F***CKU, how can I be a man in the future?" The middle-aged man's face changed and he said with a murderous look, "Cut the crap. I don't have time to waste on you. I'll count from 10 to 1. If you don't make a decision, I'll shoot him." 10, 9, 8, 7, as the middle-aged man gave the order, Shi Yumi burst into tears, and her delicate cheeks were covered with tears. "Haodong, it seems that we can only be together in the next life." She held Qin Haodong's cheek and kissed him hard. Her tears kept flowing and wetted Qin Haodong's face. 3, 2, 1, speaking of this, the middle-aged man pulled the sleeve with a click and loaded the bullet. "No, I'll listen to you," Shi Yumi looked at Qin Haodong with great reluctance. Then, she got up from his body and walked to the door of the bathroom. Although it was not far, it was extremely difficult for her to walk. The big man in front of her shouted, "Boss, this little girl is really seductive. When you're done, let's have a good time, of course. You're all my brothers. Of course, we'll share the good stuff." After that, the two of them laughed together. Shi Yumi's body trembled, but she did not stop. She continued to walk forward until she reached the door of the bathroom. She pushed the door open, looked back at Qin Haodong with great reluctance, and was about to walk in. Shi Yumi. At this moment, Qin Haodong stopped her. Although he used to call her sister, he called her name this time. For some reason, Shi Yumi felt that the distance between them had shortened a lot. Seeing that this girl was willing to make such a great sacrifice for him, he felt warm in his heart and was filled with an inexplicable emotion. He said firmly, "Come back. As long as I'm here, no one can touch you. Haodong, don't worry about me. Don't do anything. They will kill you." Shi Yumi said with tears in her eyes, "You saved my life last time. Now it's my duty to return it to you. Live a good life in the future. No need. I'm a man. I don't need a woman to protect me. I saved you last time, and I can do the same this time." Qin Haodong's voice was not loud, but it was sonorous and full of confidence. "Boy, you're really courting death. Since you want to die, I'll send you to hell now." The middle-aged man was standing next to him. When he heard that Qin Haodong dared to stop him, he immediately raised his pistol and pointed it at Qin Haodong's head. He was about to pull the trigger with his index finger. But at this moment, he felt the pistol in his hand was suddenly in Qin Haodong's hand, and then it was pressed against the middle-aged man's temple. Qin Haodong got up and grabbed the gun. His movements were smooth. He locked the middle-aged man's neck with his left arm and pressed the pistol against his head with his right hand. "Tell your men to throw away the guns, or I'll turn your head into a rotten watermelon now." The middle-aged man trembled with fear. He didn't expect that the words he had just threatened Gerard would be used on him in the blink of an eye. He hurriedly shouted, "Put down the guns. Put them down now." The men in the cabin heard his order and slowly put down the guns in their hands. But at this moment, the big man shouted, "Brothers, don't put down the guns, or we'll die. The boss can be replaced at any time, but we only have one life. Let's kill them, and all the wealth on the plane will be ours." Hearing the big man's encouragement, the gunman, who had put down the pistols, raised them again. The big man suddenly pointed the gun in his hand at Qin Haodong and was about to shoot. But at this moment, a small red dot suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. Then his arm that was holding the gun softened and he fell to the ground with a thud. Chapter 803. Qin Haodong killed the big robber with silver needles and then shot 3 silver needles into the other 3 robbers' veins. The 3 robbers suddenly felt numb and weak, and the guns in their hands all fell to the ground. Seeing that they had no guns in their hands, the captain immediately led the passengers next to him to press all the 3 robbers to the ground. In just a few seconds, all 5 robbers were subdued. Qin Haodong took a rope from the captain and tied the middle-aged robber firmly. At this time, Shi Yumi, who had been standing next to him, came to her senses as if she had just woken up from a dream. Thinking of the scene just now, she couldn't help blushing. She came to the middle-aged robber and kicked him hard in the crotch. "Bastard, how dare you hit on me?" The middle-aged robber screamed. He seemed to have heard the sound of his balls breaking. Even if he didn't spend the rest of his life in prison, he would never be a man again. Qin Haodong pulled another robber over and asked directly with mind manipulating, "How many people are there in total? Are there any accomplices in the economy class?" The robber said, "No, there are only 5 of us. Our plan is to rob the first-class cabin first because the people in the first-class cabin are all rich. Then we will hijack the plane and fly to a small island near M country. We prepared a speedboat there and left directly after robbing all the passengers." Hearing that the robbers had no accomplices, the people in the cabin breathed a sigh of relief. The captain was a big white man. He came over and said to Qin Haodong, "Mr. Qin, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, we would have been finished." "Thank you." Qin Haodong said, "They're just a few little robbers. It's nothing." The captain said, "No, it's you who saved so many of us. We have to thank you. I've already contacted the headquarters of our company. From now on, you will be a supreme member of our company. You can enjoy the first-class cabin on the plane and you don't have to pay any fees." Qin Haodong nodded slightly. Although he was very rich, this treatment was also good. At this time, there was a warm applause in the cabin. Everyone was full of gratitude to Qin Haodong, except for the bearded Gerard, who looked at Qin Haodong with resentment in his eyes. In his opinion, if it weren't for Qin Haodong and Shi Yumi, he wouldn't have flaunted his wealth in the cabin, let alone become the first target of the robbers. If Qin Haodong had taken action earlier, his $30 million would not have been forcibly transferred. He came to the captain and said, "Captain, the robbers have been subdued. Can I get my money back?" The captain said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Gerard. We have to hand over the money seized from them to the police. We don't have the authority to handle it. Your plane is too unsafe. I'll file a complaint later." Gerard said angrily, but he had no choice but to return to his seat. Shi Yumi sat down next to Qin Haodong again. She looked at him shyly and said in a low voice, "You saved me again. How can I thank you?" Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. I should protect you. Didn't you just sacrifice yourself to protect me?" Thinking of what had just happened, Shi Yumi's cheeks were so red that blood seemed to drip out. She shyly leaned her face on Qin Haodong's shoulder. After a while, she calmed down a little and said, "How do you think these abominable robbers brought guns on the plane?" Qin Haodong said, "The devil is 10 times stronger than the righteous. They have been scheming all day long, so they must have their own ways. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many hijackings. But this is not a problem we should consider. Let the police of M country deal with it." After this incident, the flight was very smooth. Near evening, their plane landed at the airport of City N of M country. When the plane landed, the sky was already gloomy. It seemed that a storm was coming. After the plane stopped, the police immediately rushed into the cabin and took the 5 robbers away. The bearded Gerard also went to the police station with the police. He was eager to get back his $30 million. It was a lot of money. If he lost it like this, he would definitely be punished by his family. Qin Haodong and Shi Yumi walked out of the airport together. Originally, Qin Haodong wanted to take a taxi to find a hotel by himself, but Shi Yumi forced him to get in a car driven by her assistant. Because Liusu Clothing often had business in City N of M country, their company rented an apartment here. When their car arrived at the apartment building, it had already begun to rain and the sky was gloomy. Qin Haodong helped Shi Yumi carry the suitcase and sent her to the room. This was an apartment with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The room was decorated in warm colors, which made people feel very warm. Qin Haodong put down the suitcase and said, "Okay, I'm leaving." Shi Yumi took his arm and said with a reluctant look, "Where are you going? Have you found a hotel?" Qin Haodong shook his head. He came in a hurry and hadn't had time to book a hotel. "It doesn't matter. There are many hotels here. I'll just find one." Shi Yumi said, "It's very troublesome to find a hotel in such a heavy rain, and the hotels in City N are very expensive. Although I know you don't care about money, I have enough rooms here. You can live here." Qin Haodong hesitated for a moment and said, "That's not good, is it?" Shi Yumi said, "What's wrong with that? You've saved me twice. You're my great benefactor. You deserve to live in my house. Besides, after what happened today, I'm really a little scared to live here alone. If you don't stay with me, I'm afraid I'll have nightmares all night." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and didn't insist. "Well, I'll bother you." "Not at all. I'm happy to live with you." Seeing that Qin Haodong agreed to stay with her, Shi Yumi immediately became like a happy bird. She found slippers for him and then helped him take off his suit jacket. She asked Qin Haodong to sit on the sofa in the living room, then turned on the TV opposite him and made him a cup of coffee. "Sit here and rest for a while. Watch TV. I'm going to take a shower. I'm exhausted after a whole day's flight." Shi Yumi said and went into the bathroom with a white pajamas. Qin Haodong drank coffee while watching TV. A variety show was playing on the TV, but he was not familiar with the film and television culture of M country and didn't care about the so-called film and television stars. After watching for a while, he felt it was boring, so he took the remote control and began to change the channel. After changing several programs in succession, the picture suddenly changed. 2 naked figures appeared on the screen, and the sound coming from the TV also became extremely ambiguous. Qin Haodong was startled. The 2 people on the screen were naked. This was a pornographic film that could only be found in China with a lot of effort. He had long heard that some European and American TV stations would broadcast adult programs. Today, he finally saw it with his own eyes. Looking at the picture opposite him and hearing the sound of running water coming from the bathroom, he couldn't help thinking of Shi Yumi's beautiful face and sexy figure. His body felt hot. No matter what, it was not appropriate to watch a pornographic film with a beautiful woman beside him. He quickly changed the channel. The result made him even more speechless. This was still an adult program, but the 2 people on the screen had become 3. "I'd better not watch it." He quickly turned off the TV. At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed across the cloudy sky, followed by deafening thunder. "Ah!" As soon as the thunder sounded, Shi Yumi let out a scream in the bathroom. Then, she rushed out of the bathroom and threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms. Originally, she was wrapped in a bath towel, but after such a toss, the bath towel slipped off, and her whole body was exposed to Qin Haodong's sight. Her charming collarbone, sexy back curve, high buttocks, and slender thighs were all enough to drive any normal man crazy. But Qin Haodong could clearly feel that Shi Yumi was in extreme fear at this time. Her body had been trembling slightly. He was a little confused. "Isn't it just thunder? Is it so scary?" If he hadn't felt Shi Yumi's fear from the bottom of her heart, he would really think that this woman was seducing him. It was not appropriate to hold a beautiful woman naked like this. He was just about to push Shiyumi away, but at this time, the thunder outside the window rang out one after another. Shiyumi let out another scream, her voice full of fear. She hugged him tightly with her two arms, so that he could feel the fullness of her breasts more clearly. "What's wrong with you?" "I'm scared, I'm really scared. Please hold me, okay?" As she spoke, Shiyumi's body kept trembling. She closed her eyes tightly, looking extremely terrified. She was so adorable that people would feel sorry for her. Qin Haodong had no choice but to hold her in his arms. When his palm touched her smooth back, he couldn't help but feel restless. In the dead of night, he was guarding a beautiful woman in the same room. It was such a special scene. It would be abnormal if he didn't have any thoughts. He injected the green with genuine qi into Shiyumi's body to help her relax her stiff muscles. Then he said, "What's going on? You're an adult. Why are you afraid of thunder?" Holding Qin Haodong tightly and feeling his strong arms, Shiyumi seemed to relax a little. She whispered in his ear, "I used to have a very happy family. My parents loved me very much. But when I was 5 years old, it was also a night like this. It was windy, raining, and there was terrible thunder. Suddenly, 2 robbers rushed into my house. My parents hid me under the bed, but they were all brutally killed by the robbers. I saw the scene clearly. I was so scared that I didn't dare to cry. Since then, I have been very scared every night when there is thunder." He didn't expect that the woman in front of him would have such a miserable childhood. Qin Haodong patted her on the back and comforted her, "It's okay. I'm here. Don't be afraid. Okay." Shiyumi nodded gently, which did ease some of her fear. She added, "I've been living alone all these years. Every night when there is thunder, I will curl up in the corner of the bed in fear, turn on all the lights, and turn the volume of the TV to the maximum. I only dare to sleep when the thunder is over." Qin Haodong picked her up, put her on the bed, and pulled the quilt over her. At this time, Shiyumi found that her bath towel had slipped off. Suddenly, a blush rushed to her cheeks, diluting the fear in her heart a lot. At this time, another thunder sounded. She hurriedly reached out to grab Qin Haodong's arm in fear. "Don't leave me, okay?" In desperation, Qin Haodong could only go to bed and hold Shiyumi and the quilt in his arms. Shiyumi leaned her head on his shoulder and murmured, "If only I could always have you." Qin Haodong said, "Since you are so afraid, why don't you find a boyfriend? An outstanding woman like you must have many pursuers, right?" Chapter 804. Shiyumi said, "You're right. There are indeed many men pursuing me. Some are handsome, some are young and rich, and some are successful in their careers, but I don't like any of them." Qin Haodong said, "Aren't you asking too much?" Shiyumi said, "In fact, I don't have a high standard for choosing a boyfriend. The only one is that he can bring me a sense of security. But none of them can do that. These people are either more effeminate than me, or they covet my beauty or my money. In short, they make me feel very insecure. When I'm with them, I'm always worried that one day I'll get old and have no money. Then they'll leave me immediately." Qin Haodong said, "Are you too suspicious? If it goes on like this, you won't be able to get married. There was a time when I also wondered if my criteria for choosing a spouse were wrong, and if there was no man in the world who could catch my eye." Speaking of this, Shiyumi suddenly raised her head, looked straight at Qin Haodong, and said, "But since I met you that day, I know that I don't have high standards, but I haven't met the right person. The moment I saw you, my heart felt incomparably at ease. This was something I had never felt before. That night, I didn't sleep at all and rushed to make that set of clothes for you. I knew that I was hopelessly in love with you." Qin Haodong said, "But as you can see, I already have many girlfriends. It's very unfair to you. I thought so too at that time, so I went back after giving you the suit. These days, I've been doing one thing, which is to try to forget you. But it's too difficult. I've worked hard for so many days, but your shadow in my mind is getting clearer and clearer. Maybe God doesn't want me to forget you, so he arranged for us to meet again today. Qin Haodong didn't speak. In this situation, he really couldn't find the right words to say. Shi Yumi's face showed a trace of intoxication. When the robbers forced me, I knew how important you were to me. I could sacrifice everything and even die for you. When you subdued those robbers and survived the disaster, I had another realization. I think it's good to be like this. As long as I can be with you, everything else doesn't matter, including your girlfriends. You're so outstanding. If they can accept each other, why can't I? Qin Haodong said, don't be too impulsive. Think about it carefully. There's no need to think about it anymore. You're the person I've been looking for my entire life. If I lose you, I'll lose everything. Speaking of this, Shi Yumi reached out and lifted the quilt on her. Haodong, take me. I'm willing to be your woman. She was mature, sexy, beautiful, and charming. She had all the advantages of a woman. No man would be able to resist this kind of temptation. Qin Haodong had always been amazed by Shi Yumi's beauty and seductiveness, but for some reason, he always felt a faint uneasiness in his heart. He had never felt this way with other women before. It was precisely because of this uneasiness that he finally suppressed the impulse in his heart. He pulled the quilt over again and covered the tempting scenery in front of him. I still think this is too hasty. Think about it carefully. There was a flash of disappointment in Shi Yumi's eyes, and then she said, do you dislike me? Actually, I've been alone for so many years. I've never liked anyone else, and I've never looked for any man. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. It's really my first time. That's not what I mean, Qin Haodong said, it doesn't matter whether it's your first time or not. I just want you to think about it carefully. But I've already thought it through. I don't care how many women you have. As long as you can really treat me well, that's enough. Shi Yumi, calm down. Qin Haodong said, in fact, it's only the second time we've met. How about this? Don't be too impulsive. Let's give each other some time, okay? Do you think I'm not beautiful enough? No, you're very beautiful, and I'm attracted to you. Then why are you doing this to me? Shi Yumi said pitifully. I don't mean anything else. I just think this is too hasty. I'm afraid you'll regret it in the future. Well, Shi Yumi said, but I want you to sleep with me in your arms tonight. Well, Qin Haodong was a little hesitant. He couldn't do anything to such a beautiful woman. It was not an enjoyment, but a kind of torture. Why? Don't you want to? I think you just dislike me. After saying that, Shi Yumi's eyes turned red again. No, I promise you, okay? That's more like it. A happy smile flashed across Shi Yumi's face, and then she said, don't call me sister in the future. That will remind me that I'm older than you. And don't call me by my name. That will make us seem distant. Qin Haodong said, then what should I call you? Shi Yumi said, when I was a child, my parents called me Xiaomi. You can also call me Xiaomi. Qin Haodong said with a smile, that's a good name, but it seems to be a mobile phone brand. Shi Yumi pressed her cheek against his chest and murmured, if only I had a mobile phone. I would always be by your side and would never be abandoned by you. In the face of such an emotional confession, Qin Haodong did not say anything. From the bottom of his heart, he also liked this beautiful, sexy, smart and charming woman very much. But for some reason, there was always a touch of uneasiness in his heart. After a tiring day, the two soon fell asleep. The next day, the clouds dispersed and the sun rose. The golden sunlight shone into the room through the large floor-to-ceiling window. When Qin Haodong opened his eyes, Shi Yumi was wearing a white nightgown and an apron with a Mickey Mouse pattern on her chest. She was busy in the kitchen, looking like a little wife preparing breakfast for her husband. "Get up, Haodong. I'm sorry about last night." Seeing Qin Haodong walk out of the room, Shi Yumi said with a red face. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It's nothing." Shi Yumi said, "Hurry up and wash your face and eat. Try the breakfast I made." After washing up, Qin Haodong sat at the table. The breakfast was not much, but it looked very exquisite. There were steak, fried eggs, milk, and bread. It was a typical Western breakfast. He cut a piece of steak, put it into his mouth, and slowly chewed. Shi Yumi asked nervously, "How is it? Is the steak I made delicious?" "It's delicious. It's even better than the chef in the hotel. I didn't expect you to have such good cooking skills." Qin Haodong couldn't help nodding. This was not a simple compliment. Shi Yumi's cooking was really good. Receiving the praise of her beloved, Shi Yumi's beautiful big eyes turned into crescents with a smile. "I grew up alone, so I naturally have to learn how to cook. Otherwise, my stomach will suffer." After breakfast, Shi Yumi put the bowls and chopsticks into the dishwasher and said, "I'm going to work." "What's your plan today? By the way, I haven't asked you yet. What do you want to do in M country?" "I'm here to investigate the Chinese medicine market here. I'm going to open Tangmen Pharmaceutical Company here." Qin Haodong told her about the task that Lin Momo gave him, but he didn't mention anything about the alien demons and angel pharmaceutical. "Oh." Shi Yumi said, "I've stayed in M country for a long time. Except for the people in Chinatown, the people here don't agree with Chinese medicine very much. Especially the government of M country, those who are used to Western medicine are very resistant to Chinese medicine. I'm afraid it will be very difficult for you to build a Chinese medicine factory here." Qin Haodong said, "I know that, but I have to give it a try." Shi Yumi stepped forward, took his arm and said intimately, "No matter what, I will support you. This fashion week only lasts for 7 days. I wanted to go back after it was over, but if you stay in M country, I'll stay with you." Qin Haodong said, "That's not a good idea. I don't know how long I'll stay in M country. It will affect your domestic business." "It doesn't matter. Business is nothing more than making money, but no matter how much money I make, it's not as important as you." Shi Yumi said with a smile, "It's best if you can stay in M country for the rest of your life. I'll stay here with you for the rest of my life." Qin Haodong reached out and pinched her delicate little nose. "Well, go to work, or you'll be late. I'll go out and see if there's a suitable opportunity." "Okay, let's go together." Shi Yumi locked the door and walked out with Qin Haodong. They didn't part with each other until they got downstairs. Watching her sexy and enchanting body get into the car, Qin Haodong frowned slightly. She was an innocent girl who was sincere to him, but why did he feel that he couldn't see through her? Shi Yumi got into the car sent by her assistant. She rolled down the window and waved at Qin Haodong, then gradually drove away. Qin Haodong shook his head. Maybe he was thinking too much. He put this idea aside for the time being and began to think about what he should do next. The purpose of this trip to M country was to find the headquarters of Angel Pharmaceutical and rescue the Sun family. But when he got there, he didn't know where to start. Thinking of the Chinatown that Shi Yumi mentioned, he decided to go to Chinatown first since it was a place where traditional Chinese medicine was more accepted. He took a taxi and went straight to Chinatown. After getting out of the car, he had to admire the greatness of the Wuxia people. They could survive and reproduce in any corner of the earth and live a good life. Chinatown was full of yellow-skinned and black-eyed Wuxia people, which made him feel like he was back in Wuxia. He walked along the street, feeling the prosperity around him. As he was walking, he suddenly saw a group of people gathering in front of him, surrounding a shop. There was a quaint plaque hanging on the shop, with the words, Tai Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine, written in square Wuxia characters. This was the first clinic of traditional Chinese medicine he had seen in M country. It seemed that something had happened. Out of concern for traditional Chinese medicine, he walked over. In the clinic, a young man in his 30s was shouting at a girl in her 20s. Both of them were Wuxia people and they were speaking in Wuxia language. The young man shouted angrily, "What kind of clinic is this? I just had a cough and wanted to take some medicine from you, but my cough was not cured. Instead, I had diarrhea all night. I was almost dried up." The people around also shouted, "How can you run a clinic? How could you treat her like this? I've been to Tai Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine before. The medical skills here are very good. They cured my old stomach disease in a week. How could this happen? Isn't there an old doctor in Tai Clinic of Traditional Chinese Medicine? Old doctors are more reliable in traditional Chinese medicine. This little girl can't do it." The little girl in the clinic was very delicate and pretty. With a pair of braids behind her head, she looked very pure. Hearing the discussions around her and looking at the young man who was glaring at her, she said nervously, "I'm sorry, brother. I didn't know this would happen. I'm really sorry. It's my fault. How about I pay you some money?" Chapter 805. The young man said aggressively, "I'll pay you 1,000,000 yuan. I'll tear down the sign of your clinic if you give me 1,000,000 yuan less." The little girl was shocked and exclaimed, 1,000,000 yuan. "Brother, I can't do that. My master is not at home. How can I have so much money? If you don't have money, I'll tear down the sign of your clinic." The young man seemed to be prepared. He held a steel pipe more than 1 meter long in his hand and was about to smash the sign on the top of the door. The little girl hurried forward to stop him. "Brother, you can't smash this sign. It's my master's painstaking efforts. I don't care. It's useless to keep a harmful clinic like yours." The middle-aged man, who had brought 2 helpers, turned around and shouted, "Stop her. I'll smash her clinic today." The 2 men stepped forward to stop the little girl. The young man raised the steel pipe in his hand again and was about to smash the sign of Tai Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic. Although there were many onlookers, they were just watching the fun and did not step forward to stop him. At this moment, a strong hand grabbed the steel pipe in the young man's hand. "Brother, we're all from Wuxia. It's not easy to make a living. There's no need to be so cruel, is there?" It was Qin Haodong who did it. As a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, he could not watch this man smash the clinic. The young man turned around and looked at Qin Haodong from head to toe. He shouted angrily, "Boy, who are you? Why do you care about me?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Brother, I'm also a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. In fact, you don't have to be so angry. It's just seeing a doctor. I'll heal you, won't it?" Hearing this, the people around immediately became noisy. "Who is this young man? He looks a few years younger than the little girl. Can he cure diseases? I don't think so. Although traditional Chinese medicine is great, it needs to be old. This kind of young man is still unreliable." The young man said, "You can cure me? I can't trust you. Yesterday, the medicine prescribed by this clinic almost killed me. If I trust you again, you'll kill me." Qin Haodong said, "Brother, I don't need to prescribe medicine. I just need acupuncture. And if I can't cure your disease, I will immediately pay you 1,000,000 yuan on behalf of the clinic." The young man was taken aback. He just said those words out of anger. He didn't expect the clinic to compensate him 1,000,000 yuan. After all, it was just diarrhea. It didn't cause too much damage. He just wanted to smash the signboard of the clinic. Little brother, you're not playing with me, are you? Qin Haodong said, of course not. Give me 20 minutes. If I can't cure you by then, you can not only destroy the clinic's brand, but I will also pay you 1 million yuan. The young man thought for a moment and felt that he would not suffer any loss, so he said, well, I'll believe you this time. Everyone is watching. If you can't cure my disease, you have to compensate me 1 million yuan. Qin Haodong walked into the Tai traditional Chinese medicine clinic and sat directly in front of the consultation desk. He first felt the young man's pulse, and then said, brother, do you have the prescription for the stomachache? Can I have a look? I have it with me. The young man brought the prescription as evidence. He took it out of his pocket and put it on the table. The little girl was stunned. She didn't know where this handsome young man came from, but it seemed that he was helping her, so she didn't say anything. Qin Haodong glanced at the prescription and then said, brother, in fact, there's nothing wrong with this prescription. Its function is to clear the air and regulate the lungs. It's also symptomatic for your cough. The young man's expression changed. Little brother, what do you mean? Don't tell me I'm being unreasonable. Qin Haodong said, brother, don't get excited. Listen to me. The mistake of her prescription is that she sticks to the rules and doesn't prescribe medicine according to your constitution. If I'm not mistaken, your constitution belongs to the cold constitution. Your yang qi is weaker than that of ordinary people, so that your stomach and intestines are not good. You're afraid of cold and you don't even dare to drink cold water, right? Yes, yes, yes. I've been afraid of cold for many years. My stomach and intestines have always been bad. As long as I eat something cold, I will have diarrhea. But this time it's too serious. It's killing me. Seeing that Qin Haodong spoke clearly and logically, the young man also trusted him a little more. Qin Haodong said, it doesn't matter, brother. It's just a small problem. As long as I give you a few needles, you'll be cured in a while. Then he took out the silver needles from his pocket and began to give the young man acupuncture. He first pierced the Feishu acupoint, Chanzhong acupoint and other major acupoints on the young man's chest. It was amazing. As soon as the silver needles were pierced, the middle-aged man's cough immediately stopped. Then, Qin Haodong transferred the greenwood genuine qi into the man's body through the silver needles, eliminating the cold in his body and helping him to sort out the blocked stomach and meridians. 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong took back the silver needles. Brother, feel it. Are you better? The young man felt warm in his chest, as if there was a sun in it. He had never felt this way before. Now, not only was his cough cured, but his stomach and abdomen also felt very comfortable. Little doctor, your medical skills are really amazing. I've seen many doctors for my fear of cold, but they couldn't do anything about it. I didn't expect you to cure it so soon. Qin Haodong said with a smile, since you're cured, let's forget about what happened today. Okay, little brother, I'll give you face today and let it go. Otherwise, I'll smash this clinic. After that, he left the clinic with the two men. The people gathered at the door saw that there was nothing to see, so they all dispersed. The little girl came over and said, little brother, thank you so much. If it weren't for your help, I really don't know what to do today. When the little girl said this, her eyes turned red and she almost shed tears. Qin Haodong said, did you write that prescription? Yes, I did. According to what you said just now, it was my bad diagnosis. I didn't take his constitution into account when I wrote the prescription. The little girl said again, little brother, but I think you're too risky. If that person doesn't recover, what will you do? Won't you have to pay him 1 million yuan? Speaking of this, she was really afraid. If Qin Haodong really lost, she couldn't bear to ask him to pay 1 million yuan, but she didn't have so much money. Qin Haodong said, don't worry about that. I can see that person is not greedy, or he would have asked you for compensation directly instead of smashing the sign of the clinic. He naturally knew about this kind of thing. If that person still wanted to extort money after he recovered, he would not be polite at all. The little girl thanked him again and then asked, "Little brother, my name is Huang Shaoxian. What's your name? You don't seem to be from Chinatown. Are you from Wuxia? My name is Qin Haodong. I just came here from Wuxia yesterday." Qin Haodong asked, "Are you the only one in this clinic?" "Of course not. It turned out that my master was treating patients. I was just helping. But my master suddenly disappeared. I couldn't find him for a long time. Considering that the clinic is my master's painstaking efforts, I didn't close it. I didn't expect to see trouble when I saw a patient." After listening to Huang Shaoxian, Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. "Your master is missing. Can you tell me in detail what's going on?" Huang Shaoxian didn't know why Qin Haodong was asking this, but she still said truthfully, "My master's name is Huang Mingzhi. He used to go to the forest park over there every morning, but he never came back after he went out yesterday morning. Later I called the police, but the police didn't find any clues. The other party first took away Sun Fengqing, his grandson, and now they took away the doctor of Tai traditional Chinese medicine clinic. It could be seen that they must have some purpose. Since they had taken away Sun Fengqing and Huang Mingzhi, would they still do something to other people? He thought it was very possible. If that was the case, he could find clues about the angel group. He said to Huang Shaoxian, "How are your master's medical skills in our Chinatown?" Huang Shaoxian said, "Of course, he's the best. In the entire Chinatown, only Gao Mingqing of Huichun Hall can compare with my master's medical skills." Qin Haodong asked, "Where is Huichun Hall? How is Gao Mingqing?" "Huichun Hall is not far from here, about 400 or 500 meters away. Gao Mingqing is also very good. I saw him go to see patients this morning." Qin Haodong said, "I'm going to visit Gao Mingqing. You'd better close your clinic and stop doing business." He felt that this little girl's medical skills were not good enough. She was only at the level of an apprentice. It would take some time for her to see patients alone. "Well, I'll close my clinic now and never dare to see patients again." Huang Shaoxian said, "Brother, I have nothing to do anyway. Why don't I take you to Huichun Hall?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Well, let's go together." Huang Shaoxian closed the door and took Qin Haodong along Chinatown for about 400 or 500 meters. They saw another traditional Chinese medicine clinic with the sign of Huichun Hall. Qin Haodong asked Huang Shaoxian to wait outside and walked in alone. In the clinic, an old man with white hair and beard was seeing patients. He was Gao Mingqing, the head of Huichun Hall, the famous old Chinese medicine practitioner in Chinatown. The business here was good. Qin Haodong waited for a while before it was his turn to see a doctor. Gao Mingqing put 2 fingers on Qin Haodong's pulse. After a careful diagnosis, he said in surprise, "Young man, I've been a doctor for so many years, but I've never seen such a strong body. What do you want to see?" Qin Haodong said, "Mr. Gao, I heard that your medical skills are good, so I came here to feel your pulse and see if there is anything wrong with your body." Gao Mingqing shook his head and said, "No problem. Your body is too good. It's really good. In that case, I won't disturb you." Qin Haodong said goodbye and left Huichun Hall. He had just left a divine sense mark on Gao Mingqing by feeling the pulse. If Angel Pharmaceutical took Gao Mingqing away again, as long as he was still in this city, he could find the base of Angel Pharmaceutical with this mark. But this was just a guess. He couldn't keep watching here all the time. After going out, he said to Huang Shaoxian, "Can you do something for me?" "Of course. You've helped me so much. It's my duty to do something for you." Huang Shaoxian agreed without hesitation. Qin Haodong said, "Help me keep an eye on Huichun Hall these 2 days. If anything happens to Mr. Gao, call me immediately. Hearing this request, Huang Shaoxian said in surprise, "What do you mean? Mr. Gao is fine. What could happen to him?" Qin Haodong naturally couldn't reveal too much to this little girl. He said, "Just do as I say. It's good that he's fine. If anything happens, call me immediately." Chapter 806. Qin Haodong had just left Huang Shaoxian when the phone in his pocket rang. He took a look and found it was Shi Yumi. They had just been separated for a few hours. Why was she calling so soon? He pressed the answer button and Shi Yumi's choked voice came from the other side of the phone. "Haodong, run away. Don't stay here. Go back to Wuxia as soon as possible." Qin Haodong knew that something was wrong and quickly asked, "What's wrong? What happened?" Shi Yumi choked with sobs and said, "Don't ask. Go away as soon as possible." Qin Haodong said, "How can I go if you don't tell me what happened?" Shi Yumi said, "Gerard and his men are here. They just found me." Qin Haodong frowned. This damn bearded man. How could he not stop? Did he forget that he saved him on the plane? He said, "Have they left now?" "Yes." Speaking of this, Shi Yumi seemed very sad and couldn't help crying loudly. The surroundings seemed to be very chaotic and many people were scolding her loudly. Qin Haodong knew that he couldn't solve any problem on the phone, so he said, "Tell me your address. I'll go there now." Shi Yumi said, "Don't come. Gerard and his men will come back." "Okay, I'll stop talking. Wait for me. I'll be right there." Qin Haodong directly hung up the phone and waved his hand to stop a taxi. He grabbed a stack of US dollars and threw it at the driver. "Send it to the venue of the Fashion Week in 10 minutes. The Fashion Week was very famous this time, so the taxi driver naturally knew where it was. He immediately put away the money, stepped on the accelerator and rushed out. 10 minutes later, he arrived at Lincoln Center, the venue of the Fashion Week. The Fashion Week was going to officially start tomorrow. Today was a rehearsal for the show. Shi Yumi and the other designers who came to participate in the exhibition would take their fashion models to practice in the venue of the metropolis. When Qin Haodong walked into the venue, he found that it was a mess. Lincoln Center was a landmark of M country. Gerard and his men did not dare to move. However, the equipment brought by these fashion designers was smashed to pieces. All kinds of clothes were thrown all over the ground. Many of the models who participated in the rehearsal were beaten black and blue. Especially the male models, they were beaten even more miserably. One of the models had his leg broken, and he kept wailing on the ground. In the middle of the stage, a group of people surrounded Shi Yumi and kept scolding her. "It's all your fault. Why did you have to provoke the Jared family? Look at what happened now. Our models have been dragged into this mess by you. How are they going to perform in the Fashion Week tomorrow? It's not enough this time. Those people will come later. How do you think we can continue to practice?" In the midst of all the scolding, Shi Yumi just squatted on the ground pitifully, holding her head in her hands, and kept crying. "Don't cry, get up." A strong hand pulled Shi Yumi up. Shi Yumi looked up and saw that it was Qin Haodong. She hurriedly shouted, "Why are you here? Hurry up and run. Those people will come back later." At this time, a curvy white woman shouted, "He can't go. The Jared family is here for him. If we don't solve the problem, how can we rehearse? How can we perform tomorrow?" When the others saw that Qin Haodong was the person Jared was looking for, they all shouted, "That's right. He can't go. If we don't solve the problem, who will be responsible for the loss?" "Well, stop arguing. Since I'm here, I won't leave." Qin Haodong spoke English well. His voice was not loud, but it was full of dignity, which made the people around him shut up instantly. He looked back at Shiyumi and saw a big handprint on the left side of her cheek, and her right cheekbone was also swollen. Obviously, she had been slapped. Although he didn't accept Shiyumi, he was still furious when he saw her beaten like this. He asked angrily, "Who hit you? Tell me what the hell is going on." Shiyumi said, "We were rehearsing. Jared took a lot of people here, and I don't know how. He said that he couldn't get the $30 million back, and you had to compensate him for his loss. He asked me to tell him your address, but I didn't tell him. Then he smashed everything here and threatened me that if I didn't hand you over, I wouldn't be able to attend this fashion week. That bastard. I should have let the robbers kill him at that time." Chin Haodong patted Shiyumi on the back and comforted her, "Don't worry. You should rehearse. I'll solve the problem." Hearing their conversation, the tall woman next to them spoke again, "How? Let's not talk about other things. Our models are all injured. How are they going to perform tomorrow?" Chin Haodong glanced around and saw the model with a broken leg who was still wailing. He asked, "He has been injured for so long. Why hasn't he been sent to the hospital?" Shiyumi said, "That's my contracted model. Before he left, Jared said that if anyone dared to send him to the hospital, he would break his leg. The ambulance hasn't arrived yet. He must have told them." The tall woman said, "Since you have offended the Jared family, you should quit this fashion week. Otherwise, we will all suffer." Hearing this suggestion, the other fashion designers all followed suit. Shiyumi said with tears in her eyes, "Well, I'll quit." Originally, she had great hopes for this fashion week. Her latest designs were likely to amaze the world at the exhibition, but things had come to this point. She could only choose to quit. "Wait. You can't quit." Chin Haodong stopped Shiyumi and turned to the others. "Give me half an hour and I'll give you an explanation." After that, he stepped in front of Shiyumi, reached out to wipe away the tears on her face, and then gently pressed her cheek. The green wood genuine chi circulated, and the big palm print and the swollen cheek quickly disappeared. The skin on her cheek returned to its previous delicate state. The fashion designers next to them wanted to continue pressuring Shiyumi to quit the fashion week, but they were all stunned by this magical scene. What's going on? Is this man the hand of God? He could easily heal the wound on her face. After Shiyumi's injury was healed, Chin Haodong stepped in front of the model with a broken leg. "Calm down. I'm a doctor. I'll cure your leg now." Before the male model could react, Chin Haodong had already grabbed his two broken legs. He gently pushed them with both hands, and with a click, the broken legs were connected. The male model had been in unbearable pain and his whole body had been soaked with sweat. Suddenly, he felt that his legs were no longer painful, and everything seemed to have returned to the state before the injury. "Well, you can stand up now, but you can't exert force on this leg for 7 days. You'll be completely back to normal in half a month." Chin Haodong left a wisp of green with genuine chi in his broken leg to help him recover. Then he stood up and began to treat the other injured models. The male model sat on the ground, dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it. His leg had been broken. Could he really stand up? But now his broken leg was no longer painful. He reached out and touched it, but he didn't feel any pain. With the help of others, he tried to stand up from the ground. Except for a little soreness in his broken leg, he didn't feel much pain. He tried to take 2 steps forward and found that he could really walk, but he couldn't exert too much force on this leg. "Oh my God, what's going on? Did I meet a magic doctor?" Only then did he come to his senses. He hurriedly came to Chin Haodong and said, "Little doctor, thank you so much. Thank you so much." Chin Haodong fixed the dislocated arm of a male model and said, "It's nothing. This is my compensation for you on behalf of Shiyumi." The male model with the broken leg asked again, "Doctor, can I still walk on the runway with my leg?" "Of course, but you have to wait for half a month." Qin Haodong said and pressed a few times on the swollen cheek of another male model. The original two big panda eyes quickly disappeared, and the previous skin color returned. Thank God. The male model was so excited that he shed tears. He had thought that his life was over because of his broken leg and he would have to say goodbye to the runway. Now hearing that he could recover in half a month, he suddenly felt like he had been reborn. Come and see, everyone. A magic doctor. He's really a magic doctor. The onlookers were also shocked by Qin Haodong's medical skills. Now hearing his shout, everyone came to their senses, and suddenly the scene became noisy. Amazing, it's really amazing. I was beaten here just now, and it still hurts. After being pressed a few times by the little doctor, not only has it completely recovered, but it's also very comfortable. Yes, I was just slapped twice, and my face was swollen. Now it's completely gone, and I don't feel any discomfort. A blonde female model looked at her face in the mirror and exclaimed, "Look, everyone, not only the bruises on my face have disappeared, but even the freckles are gone. The little doctor really has a pair of God's hands. Only God can do such a magical thing." In a burst of exclamations, Qin Haodong had cured all the models who had been beaten, but these people still surrounded him. The tall woman, who had been aggressive to Shi Yumi just now had a smile on her face. She said to Qin Haodong, "Little doctor, what kind of medical skills did you use? Why is it so magical?" At this time, Qin Haodong naturally did not mind advertising for traditional Chinese medicine. He said, "I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. What I just used was the massage technique of traditional Chinese medicine to treat external injuries." A long-legged model squeezed into the crowd and asked Qin Haodong eagerly, "I still have a few freckles on my face. Can traditional Chinese medicine help me get rid of them?" These freckles had been bothering her for a long time. She had used many beauty techniques, but she could not get rid of them. Every time before going on stage, she had to use a lot of makeup to cover them. Of course. Qin Haodong came to the long-legged model and reached out to massage her cheeks a few times. Under the effect of the green with genuine qi, the freckles soon disappeared. Seeing her flawless face in the mirror, the long-legged model suddenly screamed with excitement, "Oh my God, it's amazing. It's really amazing." Then she suddenly hugged Qin Haodong and kissed him crazily on the cheek. So this is traditional Chinese medicine. There is such a magical medical skill in Wuxia, I didn't expect it. Traditional Chinese medicine is really amazing. I want to see a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I thought there was only Western medicine in the world, but it turns out that there is more magical traditional Chinese medicine. Compared with treatment, beauty could make these women walking on the runway go crazy. Seeing the freckles on the long-legged model's face disappear, the others immediately surrounded her like crazy. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.